My apologies, I needed to verify the numbers before proceeding. For the Department of Agrarian Reform, on the part of the House proposes an increase for the Department of Agrarian Reform from its NEP level of 16.08 billion to 16.72 billion pesos. So that is a 635 million increase to the Department of Agrarian Reform, broken down as follows: an additional 435 million towards the Agrarian Reform Beneficiaries Development and Sustainability Program to enable the construction of more bridges and roads towards agrarian reform areas, and an additional 200 million pesos for the Land Tenure Security Program to accelerate the implementation of the new Agrarian Emancipation Act. So in total, the additional amount that the House placed in the HGAB for the Department of Agrarian Reform is an additional 635 million pesos.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The Senate proposes an amount of 16.8 billion, broken down as follows: landowners compensation by LBP, Land Bank of the Philippines, 500 million pesos. Any questions? Any motion?
Before we proceed, Madam Chair,
Representative Marcelino Lebanon.
there's an item there which shows the digitalization project. Do we have digitalization project? Do we have funds for that or none?
The digitalization project, Minority Leader, will be discussed tomorrow because there's a detailed discussion of the digitalization project of the entire bureaucracy.
Thank
So,
you, Mr. Chair.
in a nutshell, though, if I may, Senwin, if I can just
Yes.
address it. So, if we look at a whole-of-government approach, so we were looking at the, not us, actually, this was a directive of the executive for the Department of, for the DICT to look into all of the digitalization items included in the NEP, and see which ones can be streamlined and rationalized. So the change in the digitalization project included here is part of that overall streamlining exercise for the digitalization initiatives in the NEP. So bukas po, ang gagawin po namin ni Senwin, kasi medyo substantial po yung discussion doon, substantive rather, we'll discuss the overall amount that and break down exactly which agencies would be involved or included in the digitalization streamlining initiative. So yun po yung digitalization project dito.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Yes, is this a typo? I seem to have in the handouts of yesterday a different number, 16.718 plus for the House and 16,918,499 for the Senate. That was the handout yesterday. Is that a mistake then?
Yeah, it's the Senate version, Mr. Senator Aimee.
So is that correct? The Senate version is 16,918,499.
Yes, Senator Aimee.
So there's 200 million additional. Is that correct?
Yes, correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Thanks.
Any question? Any motion? Baka na. It's 16, medyo na daming numbers, no? But it's 16,848, 16.8. Any?
Sorry, come again.
It's the recommendation is 16.848.
16.840. That doesn't seem to be the number that's reflected in the handouts of yesterday. So 16, can we have it on the projected image, please? 16,848.
Yes.
So nagbago po from 16,918,499.
Yes, nagbago po.
Okay.
Nagbago po.
Thank you.
Move to approve.
Any
Mr. Chair.
second?
Second.
Duly seconded. The budget of the Agrarian Reform Department is deemed approved. With the permission of Chair Mika, can we skip first the NIA because Senator Kiko would he defended this agency, and it will be better if he will be present later on also to discuss some of the important points of NIA. But he'll be back in a little while.
We're okay with that,
Thank you.
Senwin. Of course, we want to give due recognition to Sen Kiko as he defended it in the
Yes.
in the Senate. But our request is hopefully, not hopefully, actually our request is for us to tackle NIA before we suspend
Yeah.
the BICAM meeting today.
Yes, yes.
Thank you po.
All right, so we go to the Department of Interior and Local Government.
On the part of the House, within the budget of the Department of Interior and Local Government, the House proposes to an increase in the budget of the Philippine National Police, more specifically, an increase of 161,682,000 for the construction of various buildings and facilities in the regional headquarters camp, Brigadier General Oscar M. Florendo. That would be it. And for the rest, we concur with keeping the NEP levels for the other items.
Thank you, Madam Chairperson. On the part of the Senate, for the Office of the Secretary, we propose 9.4 billion pesos. And this is composed of barangay officials' death and burial assistance of 50,000 pesos, general management and supervision, 1.6 billion pesos. 50 million pesos, sorry. Medyo nakakahilo na ho. Barangay officials' death and burial assistance, 50 million pesos. General management and supervision, 1.6 billion pesos. Strengthening of peace and order councils, 313 million pesos. So, any questions? Any or any
Motion to
motion?
approve.
Move to approve.
Second.
Yep, duly seconded. The budget of the Office of the Secretary, DILG, is deemed approved. Go to the Bureau of Fire Protection. Ano ba ito? Okay, all right. So, Bureau of Fire Protection, we propose 35.2 billion pesos, divided, composed of fire operations activities for the increase in subsistence allowance, 29.1 billion pesos, procurement of 65 units of 1,000 gallon fire trucks, 487 million pesos. Construction of 65 fire station, 392 million pesos. For the Bureau of Jail Management and Penology, 31.2 million pesos, composed of custody, safekeeping, and rehabilitation of district, city, and municipal inmates awaiting investigation, trial, and/or transfer to the National Penitentiary for the increase in subsistence allowance, 26.5 billion pesos. Early childhood care and development, 365 million pesos. Nagkakamali na talaga ako. 356 million pesos, composed of general management and supervision, 70 million pesos, capacity building and institutional development in intermediaries and other partners, 76 million pesos, accreditation of ECCD service partners, 207 million pesos, establishment, wala na po, no? For local government academy, 544 million pesos, composed of general management and supervision, 108 million pesos. For the National Commission on Muslim Filipinos, 1.3 billion pesos, composed of administration and supervision of Hajj operation, 103 million pesos. Promotion and development, management and preservation of Muslim cultural centers, heritage, holidays, festivities, and cultural activities, 603 million pesos. Institutional support, development, and promotion of madrasa education, Sharia program, and Quran competitions, 141 million pesos. For the National Police Commission, 2.4 billion pesos, composed of general management and supervision, 650 million pesos. Philippine Commission on Women, 204 million pesos. Composed of provision of technical assistance, advisory, and capacity building services on gender and development, 65 million pesos. For Philippine National Police, 226 billion pesos, composed of conduct of Philippine patrol operations and other related confidential activities against dissidents, subversives, lawless elements, and organized crime syndicates, and campaign against kidnapping, trafficking of women and minors, smuggling, carnapping, gun running, illegal fishing, and tackling of illegal drugs. Central Office for the increase of subsistence allowance, 187 billion pesos. Education and training program, 1.4 billion pesos. Conduct of intelligence and counterintelligence activities, 1.1 billion pesos. Construction of PNPA dormitory, 107 million pesos. 170 million pesos. Conduct of procurement, transport, storage, distribution of supplies and materials, including the maintenance of equipment and facilities for 911 equipment such as body-worn cameras, push-to-talk, two-way radios, 15 billion pesos, 15.3 billion pesos. Establishment of hangars in Davao, Cebu, and La Union, 65 million pesos. Construction of new building of the PNP headquarters phase 2, 10 million pesos. For the Philippine what is this? For
Facilities for Philippine National Police.
a construction. Ito yan. Construction of multipurpose building, task force camp, and complete facilities for Philippine National Police in Pandilusan Island, Payao, Zamboanga, Sibugay. Tama ba? 30 million pesos. Camp development in, Leyte Police Provincial Office, Palo, Leyte, 22 million pesos. Construction of multipurpose building, Barangay Gusa, Cagayan de Oro City, 15 million pesos. Personnel and records management 667 million pesos. Conduct of community awareness, public relations activities and community work, 398 million pesos. Conduct of criminal investigation and other related confidential activities, 812 million pesos. End of local communist armed conflict, LCAC, 1 billion pesos. Construction of multipurpose building, first quadrant of Camp Bagong Diwa along General Santos Avenue, Bicutan, Taguig City, 300 million pesos. Construction of 5-story regional forensic unit, Region 10, 60 million pesos. Human resource development, 490 million pesos. Enhanced and secured satellite communication integrations project, 170 million pesos. Data security operations center project, PNP information technology management service, 90 million pesos. For the Public Safety College, 1.2 billion pesos, composed of education and training program, 993 million pesos. 939 million pesos.
Sorry, Mr. Chair. By way of information, if we could just backtrack, sorry, under the PNP, we have an item regarding the construction of new building for the PNP National. It's stated in the NEP at 1.4 billion, reiterated by the GAB, and suddenly becomes a mere 10 million in the Senate version. May we know the explanation for such an extreme reduction?
Actually, they haven't used the previous allocation of 1.2, no? Yes. About 1.2 billion pesos, Mr. President. Apparently, they had problems with the site.
Okay.
So the 1.2 billion pesos will be carried over to 2026, Mr. President.
So it's valid for 2 years.
Valid for 2 years, yeah.
Hence, what we're actually going to have is 1.2 plus the 10.
Yes,
So
yes.
it's going to be 1.210.
Yes,
In fact,
yes.
for the year 2026.
Yes.
Assuming that they do get it. built.
Yes,
Thank you.
apparently they had a change of heart on where to put it inside Camp Crame. So that's why they didn't use any of the 1.2 billion pesos, Mr. President.
Okay, but the sum will not be reverted to the Treasury, the 1.2.
They have to use it.
They still have to use
Yes,
it. Yeah.
correct. Tama
Okay.
po. Any
Senwin,
questions?
before we make a motion, I would just like to make a quick manifestation with regard to the topic at hand. So I just wanted to manifest that both the House and the Senate have mutually agreed to adopt subsistence allowance as a common amendment for both houses. So that that would be an amount totaling to 23,696,822,000 across the different agencies and attached agencies, Public Safety College, PNP, PJMP, BFP, PCG, NAMRIA, and the Bureau of Corrections. Of course, this subsistence allowance increase from 150 pesos to 350 pesos per day is in consonance with Executive Order number 84 dated March 14, 2025. So we just wanted to, that's a very important point that I believe the Bicameral Conference Committee would like to highlight, that in the budget for the year 2026, we are able to fund the increase in subsistence allowance from 150 to 350 pesos per day.
Tama ho kayo, the Senate also approved the increase in subsistence allowance. In fact, marami po tayong mga senator, including Senator Lawrence, Senator Erwin, Senator Amy, who pushed for the increase in subsistence allowance of our military uniform personnel. So they will, like you said, they will receive 350 pesos. This is an increase from 150 pesos per day. So napakagandang balita po ito sa mga military uniform personnel natin.
Alam ko po, Senwin, matagal na rin pong hinihintay ito ng ating mga military uniformed personnel, at ito na po yung tugon ng parehong Kongreso at ng Senado doon po sa kanilang kahilingan na maitaas na din po yung kanilang subsistence allowance. So I just wanted to make that manifestation, Senwin, because that's a really important achievement as well for the budget for the fiscal year 2026. Maraming salamat po.
Madam Chair.
Representative Pepito Alvarez, and then Representative Rufus Rodriguez,
Madam Chair, next.
and Representative Brian Yamsuan. Representative Pepito Alvarez? Okay. Representative Rufus Rodriguez.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Mr. Chairman. We would like to thank the Senate for giving 975 million for procurement of 65 units of 1,000-gallon fire trucks, which are urgently needed by Mindanao especially. We also like to thank the Senate for the construction of 65 fire stations. Mostly in Mindanao have no fire stations. So we thank the Senate for that. Second, we thank the Senate for increasing the budget of the National Commission of Muslim Filipinos, increasing the Hajj operations, increasing the development of Muslim cultural centers, and increasing the Sharia program and Quran competitions. Third, we'd like to thank the Senate for including the construction of multipurpose building, RMFB, Barangay Gusa, Cagayan de Oro City, the city of golden friendship. Next, to thank also the Senate for also including the construction of 5-story forensic unit that has been asked for the past 5 years of the amount of 60 million pesos. And finally, on the part of the PNP, we would like to thank the Senate for increasing the enhanced and secured satellite communication integrations project, because we would like to have in each border in Mindanao before criminals can go through borders right there. Because of the satellite communication, we stop the criminals at the borders from province to province. So with that, Mr. Chairman, Madam Chair, we would like to thank the Senate for this additional budget. And of course, the HGov, and we'd like to thank our own panel. The HGov already included so much of the requests of all the agencies. This is just in addition to, and we'd like to ask to thank the Senate. Thank you very much, Madam Chair, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Congressman Rufus. Actually, a lot of these interventions are made by Senator Javier Hercito, who is the Vice Chairman of the subcommittee for DILG. Unfortunately, he is not available today, but most of these interventions are made through Senator Javier Hercito. As for the National Commission on Muslim Filipinos, those interventions came from Senator Padilla as well as Senator Bongo. So our senators are very active in intervening for the good of our Muslim Filipinos.
We thank the senators for looking after the Muslim population of Mindanao and also the regions in Mindanao. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Representative Brian Yamsuwan.
Madam Chair, thank you so much. With regard to the Bureau of Jail Management and Penology, Senator Chairman Win, would like to ask if it includes the rehabilitation of the district and city municipal jails and the increase of the budget, because what is stated here is the rehabilitation of district, city, and municipal inmates. So does facilities come with the budget or just the rehabilitation of the inmates?
Actually, we wanted to, Senator JV suggested to include that. The committee was really inclined to include that, but unfortunately, because of fiscal space, we couldn't accommodate those requests. But maybe next year. No?
Because we know the congestion rate
Yes,
of
correct.
our jails
Yeah.
and the conditions of our PDLs in
Yeah.
the different municipal and city jails. So we have been advocates in the House. That's why we wanted to ask, because the increase is quite big. It's 26 billion, I think. Is it right, Mr. Chair?
Only included in the Senate the subsistence allowance for the
For the inmates?
no, for the officers of the BJMP.
Even the inmates, Mr. Chair, I think next year we should take into consideration the increase in the budget of their meals, because I think they're given 70 pesos per meal, kumbaga per day, in our system right now. And kahit tayo, mahirap pagkasya ng 70 pesos sa isang araw. I think we should take into consideration the living conditions of our PDLs also. And I will move for an increase probably next year when we have more fiscal space in our budget. And we thank also our chairman in the House for really looking after such revisions in the budget for next year. And we thank you for the increase, but I think we should do more in terms of researching for the need to increase other budgets for the Bureau of Jail Management and Penology. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Madam Chair. Mr. Chair.
Representative Pepito Alvarez.
Move to approve.
Any second?
Second.
The budget of the DILG is duly approved. Thank you very much. We move to the Department of National Defense.
Senwin, just to manifest, so the level of detail here is a little bit different from the level of detail which I wish to use when I manifest. So I'll just use, but the total is the same. So on the part of the House, for the Department of National Defense, the House in the HGAB has reflected an increase of 4.25 billion pesos for the Department of National Defense. The said 4.25 billion pesos is as follows. 362 million for the upgrade of the power system of the government's power arsenal, 250 million pesos for the construction of a two-story hospice at the Veterans Memorial Medical Center, an additional 278.4 million for the development of the forward operating base in Balabac, Palawan, 172.4 million pesos for the integrated missile, ammunition, and explosives logistics support system, an additional 733.3 million pesos for the PA Cyber Electromagnetic Activities or SEMA capability buildup, an additional 150 million pesos for the construction of living quarters, Building A, in Victoriano Luna Hospital compound in Quezon City, an additional 150 million pesos for the construction of a multi-purpose building, Building A, Camp General Emilio Aguinaldo, Quezon City, an additional 500 million pesos for the construction of the PMA Cyber Warfare Educational Excellence Center, or the CWEEC, at Fort Del Pilar, Baguio City, Phase 1, an additional 150 million pesos for the construction of the enlisted personal quarters at Camp General Emilio Aguinaldo, Quezon City, and an additional 1.5 billion pesos for the acquisition of the unmanned aerial system, vertical takeoff and landing. So in total, on the part of the House, with the additional 4.25 billion pesos for the Department of National Defense, that brings the total from 295 billion pesos 295.2 billion pesos in the NEP to 299.4 billion pesos.
That's for the entire Department of National Defense.
Yes,
So,
that is for the entire
okay.
Including
Including
department.
the Armed Forces of the
Yes,
Philippines.
that
Okay.
includes the Office of the Secretary, the Government Arsenal, Office of Civil Defense, Veterans Memorial Medical Center, and the Armed Forces of the Philippines, broken down into the Philippine Army, the Philippine Air Force, the Philippine Navy, and General Headquarters, AFP and AFP-wide Service Support Unit. So that's a total addition of, sorry, 4.25 billion pesos in the HGAB for the Department of National Defense.
Thank you. Thank you for that. On the part of the Senate, Department of National Defense, Office of the Secretary, it's 2.3 billion pesos, composed of the following: development, implementation, and monitoring of international defense engagement, 55 million pesos. For government arsenal, 2.8 billion pesos. Manufacture and storage and security of small arms ammunition, 2.2 billion pesos. For Office of the Civil Defense, 2.6 billion pesos, composed of design and build OCD Negros Island Region Logistics Hub/warehouse, 42 million pesos. Construction completion of the Office of the Civil Defense Regional Office 10 building, Cagayan de Oro City, 35 million pesos. For the Veterans Memorial Center, 3.6 billion pesos, composed of inpatient care of 2 billion pesos. For the Armed Forces of the Philippines, Philippine Army Land Forces, 145 billion pesos, composed of construction of multipurpose building, 2 units barracks, belittling facilities, 71st Infantry Battalion, 7th Infantry Kaugnay Division, Philippine Army, Barangay Kabaluyan, 2nd Mangatarem, Pangasinan, 10 million pesos. Construction of perimeter fence, 7th Infantry Kaugnay Division, Philippine Army, Camp Lieutenant Tito B. Abat, Barangay Caloocan, Manawag, Pangasinan, 20 million pesos. Construction of military physical training facility, covered court, H503 3rd Infantry Brigade, Barangay Kalanan, Tabuk City, Kalinga, 20 million pesos. Construction of 2-story female barracks, H503 Infantry Brigade, Kalanan, Tabuk City, Kalinga, 15 million pesos. Construction of military barracks, 204 Quirino Defense Center, 2 RCDG, RCPA, San Marcos, Cabarugis, Quirino, Phase 2, 15 million pesos. Construction of multipurpose buildings, 7th Infantry Battalion, Nolcom, Bangag, Lalo, Cagayan, Phase 4, 15 million pesos. Construction, completion of 3-story military barracks building Type 6, Camp Severino Aquino, San Miguel, Tarlac City, Tarlac, 25 million pesos. Construction of military physical training facility gymnasium, 522 ECB Camp Aquino, Tarlac City, Tarlac, 98 million pesos. Construction of military physical training facility gymnasium, 69th Infantry Battalion, Philippine Army Headquarters, San Juan, Botolan, Zambales, 100 million pesos. Construction of multipurpose building, Battalion Quarters, 522 ECB, Camp Aquino, Tarlac City, Tarlac, 6 million pesos. Construction of multipurpose building, Officers Quarters, 11 MB, IMCOM, PA, Camp Aquino, Tarlac City, 26 million pesos. Construction of perimeter fence and watchtower, 69th Infantry Battalion, Philippine Army Headquarters, San Juan, Botolan, Zambales, 30 million pesos. Construction of barracks/training facilities, 761B, Barangay Paquias, Victoria, Oriental Mindoro, Phase 2, 60 million pesos. Construction of barracks/training facilities, Alpha Company, 76 IB, Barangay Malamig, Gloria, Oriental, Mindoro, Phase 2, 60 million pesos. Construction of barracks/training facilities, Charlie Company, 76 IB, Sitio, Sampaguita, Barangay San Carlos, Nawan, Oriental, Mindoro, 60 million pesos. Construction of military quarters and barracks building, Charlie, 61 ID, 2 ID, Puerto Galera, Oriental, Mindoro, 75 million pesos. Construction of perimeter fence with solar light system, 203 Brigade, 4 IB, Philippine Army, Barangay Cambunag, Bulalakaw, Oriental, Mindoro, 45 million pesos. Construction of perimeter fence with solar light system, 203rd Brigade, Philippine Army, Barangay Pag-asa, Bansud, Oriental, Mindoro, 50 million pesos. Construction of perimeter fence with solar light system, Alpha Company and Charlie Company, 4 IB, Philippine Army, Sitio Hagines, Barangay Wasig, Malansay, Oriental, Mindoro, 50 million pesos. Construction of military barracks, building/training facility, 3rd Civil Military Operations Battalion, 3rd Infantry Spearhead Division, Philippine Army, Camp Martin Haen, Barangay Nabitasan, Leganes, Iloilo, 60 million pesos. Construction of Brigade Commander Quarters, new BDE HQS Negros Oriental, 12 million pesos. Construction of Chief of Staff Quarters, new BDE HQS Negros Occidental, 5 million pesos. Construction of medical and dental dispensary with amenities, new BDE HQS Negros Occidental, 20 million pesos. Construction of Sergeant Major Quarters, new BDE HQS Negros Occidental, 5 million pesos. Construction of supply room for QMS items, new BDE HQS Negros Occidental, 10 million pesos. Construction of 3-story 303 BDE quarters with mess hall and roof deck, new BDE HQS Negros Occidental, 75 million pesos. Construction of 3-story VIP transient quarters with mess hall, new BDE HQS Negros Occidental, 75 million pesos. Construction of training facility, new BDE HQS Negros Occidental, 10 million pesos. Construction of training facility, 303 Infantry Brigade, new BDE HQS Negros Occidental, 119 million pesos. Construction of military barracks, 47th Infantry Battalion Headquarters, Camp Raha, Sikatuna, Barangay Katipunan, Carmen, Bohol, 120 million pesos. Construction of military quarters building, 7th Forward Service Support Unit, Army Support Command, Philippine Army, Arelo, Boulevard, Cebu City, 30 million pesos. Construction of training facilities, 702 Community Defense Center, Camp Bernido, including related facilities, Tagbilaran City, 100 million pesos. Construction of training facility, Visayas Army Training, TRADOC, PA, Camp Governor Lino Chato, including related facilities, Tubigon, Bohol, 100 million pesos. Construction of military quarters type 4, 102, IBDE, Igsoon, Santo Ipil, Zamboanga, Sibugay, 50 million pesos. Ready Reserve Infantry Battalion Mobilization and Training Center, 905 Regional Community Defense Group, RESCOM, Camp General Arturo Enrile, Malagutay, Zamboanga City, 10 million pesos. Access Road to Camp Evangelista, Barangay Patag, Cagayan de Oro, Misamis Oriental, 35 million pesos. Construction of officers and EP barracks, building, OG2 compound, H4ID, Camp Evangelista, Barangay Patag, Cagayan de Oro, Misamis Oriental, 40 million pesos. Construction of perimeter fence, 2nd Mechanized Infantry Brigade, Armor Division, Philippine Army, Barangay Maria Cristina, Iligan City, Lanao del Norte, 50 million pesos. Construction of perimeter fence, Mindanao Army Training Group, TRADOC, PA, Kabadritan, Military Reservation, Barangay Malinaw, Kalilangan, Bukidnon, 40 million pesos. Construction of 4 units 10-door military barracks building, HQS 10ID, Camp General Manuel Yan, Barangay Tuboran, Mawab, Davao de Oro, 101 million pesos. 60 capacity military barracks quarters, Type 1, Kapatagan Training Facility, HQS 10 DTS, Barangay Kapatagan, Digo City, Davao del Sur, 21.5 million pesos. Construction of military quarters, building for Brigade Commander, Deputy Brigade Commander, Executive Officers, and Sergeant Major, including guard houses, 901 1st Infantry Brigade, Philippine Army, Placer, Surigao del Norte, 15 million pesos. Construction of officers' quarters, Camp Romulo Gubi, Barangay Romualdo Ruby, Barangay Bancasi, Butuan City, Agusan del Norte, 15 million pesos. Construction of perimeter fence with solar lights, gates, guardhouse, 401st Brigade, Barangay Awa, Prosperidad, Agusan del Sur, 100 million pesos. Construction of perimeter fence with solar lights, gates, and guardhouse, 901st Brigade, Barangay Santa Cruz, Placer, Surigao del Norte, 100 million pesos. Construction of perimeter fence with solar lights, gates, and guardhouses, Mount Mayapay, Military Reservation, Butuan City, Agusan del Norte, 80 million pesos. Construction of perimeter fence, 401st Infantry Unite and Fight Brigade, 4th Infantry Diamond Division, Camp Datu Lipus, Macapandong, Barangay Awa, Prosperidad, Agusan del Sur, 100 million pesos. Construction of perimeter fence, 901st Infantry Brigade, Philippine Army, Placer, Surigao del Norte, 40 million pesos. Construction of perimeter fence, Camp Romualdo Ruby, Barangay Bancasi, Butuan City, Agusan del Norte, 60 million pesos. Construction of Sergeant Major Quarters, Camp Romualdo Ruby, Barangay Bancasi, Butuan, Agusan del Norte, 3 million pesos. Enhancement of firing range, Camp Romualdo Ruby, Barangay Bancasi, Butuan, Agusan del Norte, 10 million pesos. Construction of Unconventional Warfare Training Center, Special Operations Command in Fort Magsaysay, 3 million pesos. For the Philippine Air Force, 60.3 billion pesos. 60.6 billion pesos, composed of development of forward operating base at Balabac, Palawan, 1.1 billion pesos. Construction of 2-story military barracks Type A, CNIA, Lalo, Cagayan, Phase 2, 10 million pesos. Construction of multipurpose building, 2-story training facility, TOG 3, Camp Aquino, Tarlac City, Tarlac, 17 million pesos. Construction of 5-story military barracks quarters Type 1, Lipa City, Batangas, 60 million pesos. Construction of 5-story military barracks quarters, building Type 3, Lipa City, Batangas, 50 million pesos. Construction of 3-story military barracks quarters building, Fernando Air Base, Lipa City, Batangas, Phase 1, 50 million pesos. Construction of fixed-wing hangar with parking ramp, Brigadier General Benito Ebuen Air Base, Lapu-Lapu City, Cebu, Phase 3, 40 million pesos. Construction of rotary hangar, BGB NEAB, Lapu-Lapu City, Cebu, Phase 2, 83 million pesos. Construction of Toismin Armory Building, Toismin Das, Barangay Sasa, Davao City, Davao del Sur, 12.3 million pesos. Construction of fixed-wing hangar and parking ramp with outside facilities, utilities, TOSRB, General Santos City, South Cotabato, 62 million pesos. Construction of multipurpose hangar and parking ramp with outside utilities, TOSRB, General Santos City, South Cotabato, 57.5 million pesos. For the Philippine Navy, this is 59.9 billion pesos, composed of enhancement of road network of Naval Station Leo Virgildo Gantioki, Zambales, 270 million pesos. Construction of Married Military Headquarters Building, Naval Base Rafael Ramos, NBRR, Lapu-Lapu City, Phase Cebu, Phase 4, 10 million pesos. Ba't kulang itong isa? What is that? Cebu City. Yan. Construction of missile storage facility, Naval Base Real Ramos, Lapu-Lapu City, Cebu Phase 2, is 30 million pesos. Construction of Ammo Dump Camp Cape, Ujedor, Burgos, Ilocos Norte, 30 million pesos. Construction of personal barracks with armory, Campe, Bojedor, Burgos, Ilocos Norte, 40 million pesos. Construction of public hygiene facilities, Naval Forces, Southern Luzon, Legazpi, Albay. Ano ito? 300,000? 300,000. For General Headquarters, AFP and AFP-wide service support units, 26.7 million pesos. 26.7 billion pesos. Composed of completion of Officers' Quarters and EP Barracks, Military Intelligence Group 3, ISAP, Camp Serviliano, Aquino, San Miguel, Tarlac City, 20 million pesos. Construction of multipurpose building, 2-story EP Barracks, MIG 41, SIF, ISAF, Camp Aquino, Tarlac City, Tarlac, 15 million pesos. Construction of multipurpose building, Battalion Headquarters, 1st Civil Relations Group, CRSAFP, Camp Aquino, Tarlac City, Tarlac, 6 million pesos. Construction of various multipurpose building, Task Force Camp with complete facilities for Armed Force of the Philippines in Pandilusan Island, Payao, Zamboanga, Sibugay, 30 million pesos. Compound, ano ito? Putol eh. What is that? Construction of West Mincom Headquarters Building, Western Mindanao Compound, Zamboanga City, Phase 3, 50 million pesos. Joint Force Support Command, 7.5 billion pesos. Presidential Security and Protection, PSG Command, 2.2 billion pesos. Joint Force Support Units, 1.3 billion pesos.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
kanina ko po tinitignan pabalik-balik ako din sa pahina ng National Defense. Wala po ako makita rito na spare parts man lang or equipment, logistics. Puro infrastructure po ito, vertical, horizontal, pero none at all. Na, di po ba nila kailangan ng mga pyesa sa sakyan nila sa barko, helicopter, fighter jet? Marami po tayong mga equipment or bumili man lang ng eroplano or yung ating mga kailangan po siguro ng mga spare parts nito mga patrol craft natin, helicopter natin. Baka mamaya, sir, alambre na lang tinatali doon sa mga yon. So, kailangan ho natin siguro. Ano hong paliwanag nila dito? Bakit wala pong spare parts? Wala pong logistics, Mr. Chair?
Ito pong nabanggit ko po, ito po yung tinatawag na TICAS projects na dati po na sa DPWH. Tapos ho nagkaroon ho tayo ng hearing, rinecommend po ng committee and also from the agency na ilipat nilang po itong mga infrastructure projects na lahat po nasa kampo sa AFP at sila na po ang gagawa. In regards to sa mga spare parts, yan po ay nakasama po sa kanilang MOE. No? So yung mga iba't ibang ahensya at iba't ibang armed forces components, meron ho sila sariling mga MOE po.
What about new equipment, Mr. Chair? Right now, we have problems at the West Philippine Sea. Maski mga patrol craft lang sana, kulang na kulang po tayo, particularly with the Air Force and, of course, the Navy siguro.
Yan naman po nakapasok sa kanilang capital outlay. So meron ho silang mga budget for capital outlay na pwede ho nilang magamit.
But it's not specified here, Mr. Chair. I was looking over these pages and I can't seem to find it, Mr. Chair.
Doon po ay naka-built-in na po sa kanilang original budget. So, yun naman po ay kineri po ng Senate. No?
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Senator Tulfo, for what you mentioned, because we have similar observations that the amendments which we carried, which is actually what they asked for, are mostly infrastructure, but nothing that really strengthens our military capability. But I also take note that in the NEP, that's where they placed it. But I noticed, yes, it's mostly infrastructure development. Also take note that if we compute everything put together, including the NEP, the HGAB, if ever they did any amendment, and the Senate amendments, this only comprises 1% of GDP. And ideally, at least according to what they said during the hearing, we must invest minimum of 2% of GDP for our military. And that includes both air assets, our ground assets, and of course, being an archipelago, we must be prepared. And it does not even include the Coast Guard, which is, of course, civilian in nature. So we are underfunding our capability for our military strength. We need to invest more, perhaps in the NEP of 2027, but that's something I would not like to mention since we're live streamed, and we would not like to say to the world that we are militarily incapable, but okay, but it's obvious that we are underfunding it, yes. But I appreciate your comment that yes, if you notice, puro vertical development.
Kasi
no?
since we're live streamed, Senator Lauren, people are asking or wondering, they're waiting na may mabasa rito sana na purchase or logistics or equipment.
Mga barko sa West
o
Philippine
puro
Sea,
construction.
That's true. You're
That's
actually
what
correct.
they're asking here, itong mga netizens po natin.
Yes. But actually, if you look at the NEP, the chair is correct in saying that's where they put it. But malaki po ang kakulangan kasi pag sama-samahin mo yan, 1% of GDP lang yan. So malaking kakulangan. Yes.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, Senator Amy.
Yes, Mr. Chair. You very patiently read out the exact locations of all this new infrastructure and some repair and rehab. However, the shift in our military operations from internal subversion to external threat is not manifested in any way in the infrastructure expenditure. I'm a little bit perplexed by that. The only visible change appears to be in the AFP modernization program, where the House as well as the Senate very generously almost doubled their expenditure. But it also behooves me to observe that there is no shift in the infrastructure expense that should reflect the shift towards external aggression, defense against invasionary and other forces from overseas, as opposed to the usual domestic insurgency that has plagued us for many, many decades. Yun lang. Bakit ganon? Kasi parati natin pinag-uusapan, hindi na NPA, hindi na Muslim secession, hindi na kung ano-anong domestic ang problema natin ngayon, kundi ang challenges sa ating tinatawag na territory, sovereignty, ECC, at iba pa. Kaya nagtataka ako, ito naman puro sa mga infrastructure at mga building at gastos sa panloob. Bakit ganun? Bakit hindi nagpalit ang ating strategy? Parati natin pinag-uusapan. Yun lang po. Ganun din ang kinatatakutan ko sa kabila ng pagnanais natin na doblehin halos from 35 billion. Ginawa natin 40, tas ginawa pang 60. Baka naman yung bibilhin pa rin, small arms pa rin, na talagang kasi ito nakikita ko, manufacture, storage, and security of small arms, paano yung mga kinakailangan natin sa dagat, sa karagatan, at eto nga, sa Air Force, na wala naman tayo nakikita. Yun lang ang kinatatakutan natin.
Maraming salamat, Senator Amy at Senator Tulfo sa mga tanong. Meron din ho tayong AFP modernization program na 90 billion pesos, both program and unprogram appropriations. At typically ho, itong mga components ng AFP modernization ay pinag-uusapan po sa executive session because of national security issues. But rest assured na meron tayong pondo for the modernization. And tama ho si Senator Loren na talagang kailangan po ay patuloy ang pagtaas po ng budget ng ating armed forces. In fact, with the AFP modernization, aabot po tayo to 1.25% of GDP. Alam ko medyo malayo pa yan sa 2% na recommended ng NATO, pero at least ho, tumataas ho tayo dahan-dahan. Hopefully by in the next 3 years, umabot ho tayo ng 1.5 para po talagang mabili ho natin at masuportahan ho natin ang ating armed forces ng mga kagamitan na kakailanganin ho nila. Tama si Senator Amy na nagsishift po to external defense. No? At kailangan natin ng suportahan siya doon.
Pero lahat ng pinapatayo, wala naman sa western sector, wala rin sa eastern, at konting-konti, isa lang yata o dalawa na banggit sa Taiwan Straits. Kaya nagtataka ako, bakit dito pa sa ating budget, you put your money where your mouth is, and we're not doing that. Isa pa, dito sa AFP modernization, sa haba ng panahon na hindi natin napopondohan ng tama. May natitira pa sa Horizon 1, may natitira pa sa Horizon 2, dapat natapos na yung Horizon 3, baka hindi na siya modern pag natapos yung modernization. The nature of war has changed significantly over the past few months, years, with the drone technology taking over almost all manned efforts. So I'm wondering if we're anywhere near that sort of technology. Yun lang po.
Senator Loren, who's the chairperson of the Defense Committee in the Senate, alam ko ho na umpisahan niya na po magkaroon ng hearing regarding modernization and also some of the concerns surrounding our armed forces. At alam ko maraming mga batas na dapat i-update, including the AFP modernization program.
Yes, Mr. Chair. And take note regarding investment in military, ang Vietnam noong 2018 ay 1.8% na ang kanilang of GDP ang kanilang investment. Tayo 2025 ay 1%. So mababa talaga. We could probably take this up after in the standing committee and compare it to our ASEAN neighbors. Thank you.
All right. Any motion?
A comment, just a quick question lang po, Senwin. So, I'm seeing here, just wanted to clarify, kasi from my understanding po, 3.16 billion, which is equivalent to 74 items, these are actually not new items in the budget. Rather, these were transferred from DPWH, TCAS, to the DND. So I just wanted to get clarification on that po. So hindi po talaga siya new increase in the budget, but rather linipat lang po natin yung 74 items sa ilalim po ng TCAS mula po sa DPWH papunta po sa DND. Tama po ba? Is that correct po?
Tama ho. Galing ho yan sa DPWH, yung pondo, at we also found out during the hearing na maraming mga projects na uncoordinated with the DND. Yung iba hindi pa nga natatapos. So, doon sa hearing lumabas na mas maganda ang DND na rin magpagawa. No? Dahil alam nila yung kailangan nila, na monitor nila, at marami dito sa loob ng kampo. So that's why itinransfer po yung pondo from DPWH to DND.
Opo, yun na po. I just wanted to make sure. Kasi po, I looked at TCAS in the DPWH budget and I was seeing the exact same items here being read out. I just wanted to make sure that these were transferred and these were not duplicated in the budgets of DPWH and DND. So with that po, we just wanted to highlight. So with the 4.25 billion pesos increase, introduced by the House of Representatives, and the additional 3.29 billion pesos increase introduced by the Senate, the total increase for the Department of National Defense is at 7.54 billion pesos po.
Madam Chair?
May I say something? Yeah.
Sorry, please let me
Ah,
finish
sorry,
po,
go ahead,
if
yes.
that's okay. So with that po, we just wanted to highlight that with the 4.25 billion pesos introduced by the House of Representatives and the additional 3.29 billion pesos added by the Senate, the total change or the total increase rather from NEP to the current proposal would be 7.54 billion pesos for the Department of National Defense. Representative Javi Benitez.
Okay. Thank you, Madam Chair. Apologies for that earlier. Ang ganda po ng sinabi ng ating mga counterparts po sa Senate panel. Agree po ako doon. At gusto ko lang i-reiterate ang sinabi ko doon at tinanong ko po sa House budget briefing, na sana po ang Department of the Defense will also invest in our capability building in terms of instead of acquiring ating mga assets, maybe we can have part of a contract na may technological transfer, no? Tech transfer po ito. Like for example, sa Cavite, meron pong na successful na Shaldag Mark V na ginawa sa Cavite, which is a fast attack interdiction craft. Meron pong mga missiles. This was acquired by the Philippine Navy, but we're able to build our own capability. No, so this is in the Cavite Naval Shipyard, as a naval station, Pascual Ledesma. Parte ito sa AFP modernization goals. So hopefully in the future, hindi lang tayo mag-acquire, we can also build our own capabilities. So gusto lang po ilagay yon sa record. And while we are here as a representative of Negros Occidental, gusto ko lang magpasalamat sa Department of Defense, kay Secretary Gubot Teodoro, and of course our Chair Win and the Senate panel for including, of course, on the OCD, ang NIR Logistics and Warehouse Hub that will really help disaster preparedness para sa mas mabilis na response sa aming rehiyon. And the several items for Negros Occidental para sa security, humanitarian assistance, and civil-military coordination. So maraming salamat po. It will help the overall resilience sa aming probinsya. Thank you.
Madam Chair.
Yes, Representative Rufus Rodriguez.
Madam Chair, I am concerned because we are talking of matters of national security. And, although it's the first time that we have live streaming, probably next time, discussions like this will not only be, heard by the Filipino people, but our enemies. And so therefore, probably in the next cycle, we should not, for national defense, it should be an executive session, and there should be no printout on this except during the time of executive session, because we are already announcing our defense postures. And so therefore, just a manifestation, Mr. Chairman. Now, first time, we wanted to be transparent, fine. So then, but the discussions in the present, in our panel, both panels now, there are very, very, very sensitive, and there are matters of national security. The DND would really be on national security. And we don't want to telegraph or to inform others, other countries which are, having an adverse interest to the Philippines. But that is an observation. So we hope that we stop now and be able to have, so therefore, with that manifestation that in the next budget hearing, we will have a national security, then it should be an executive session on the national defense. So therefore, we would like to move for approval of the same, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I beg to disagree because in their speeches, even the AFP, Philippine Coast Guard, the Department of Defense, they do mention about our equipment, purchasing, we have to buy equipment, and it's a given fact. Everybody knows. I mean, the entire world that we are a third world country, and we are so dependent on our allies, Mr. President, Mr. Chair.
Before I answer that, to the panel, let me just approve, because there's a motion, approve the budget of the DND. Actually, the projects mentioned earlier are all improvements of barracks, improvements of minor facilities inside the camps. But I do agree with Congressman Rufus that sensitive matters such as what equipment we will be purchasing, how we'll be modernizing, I think those should be discussed during executive session. No? That's why, and I do agree with Congressman Rufus that we have to be mindful and sensitive, no, to the AFP because of the national security implications. But as far as we can be transparent, no, as far as we can divulge the amendments related to DND, then we will do so.
Mr. Chair, my point was, I was just asking earlier, like, how come we don't have, of course, we need to buy spare parts. I didn't ask, like, are we buying submarines? Are we buying aircraft carrier? Are we buying cruise missiles? No, Mr. Chair. All I was referring to, how come we don't have, it's not specified here for logistics, ammunitions or spare parts of our aircraft and ships. That's all I did ask, Mr. Chair. I mean, I did not ask if we're going to buy cruise missiles, long-range missiles, or attack helicopters or jets. Rather, I just pointed out, and I was asking, where are funds for spare parts, Mr. Chair?
Mr. Chair, as the last statement on this issue, Senator Tulfo's interventions were very valid because that is what Senator Marcos and I think when we discussed it earlier, that we noticed it's mostly infrastructure. And that's why I stopped short of saying that we must invest more because it's only 1% of GDP as a national security specialist in a way, that being my masteral course and being in the reserve for 20 years. We know where to stop, and that's why we did not discuss it any further. And these were actually subject matters discussed already in plenary. But we appreciate the warning, fair warning of my lawyer, Attorney Rufus. That's why we're stopping here. We appreciate that, but all the interventions of the Senate panel are in order. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Legarda. Thank you also, Congressman Rodriguez, for reminding us. Thank you.
All right, since Senator Kiko is already here, we can jump back to the National Irrigation Administration.
Thank you very much. With that, I would like to state the additions of the House with regard to the National Irrigation Administration, totaling 18.26 billion. The first is an increase of 8.51 billion pesos under the National Irrigation System for the repair and restoration of new irrigation systems. An additional 1.77 billion for the communal irrigation system, again for the repair and restoration. An additional 2.52 billion for pump irrigation. An additional 36.8 million for restoration of other irrigation. An additional 55 million for the developmental program for special irrigation. An additional 370 million for the small reservoir irrigation project. And finally, this is an important flagship project of the administration, which is for the completion of the Halaor Dam. That would be an additional 5 billion pesos. So in total, from NEP to HGAB, we are increasing the budget of the National Irrigation Administration by 18.26 billion pesos from 45 billion pesos to 63.3 billion pesos.
For the national irrigation system, uh, under the Senate version, we propose 65 billion, sorry, 56 billion pesos. For the national irrigation sub program, 10.1 billion pesos. For the communal irrigation system sub program, 5 billion pesos. For the other irrigation system sub program, 630 million pesos. For the expansion of existing irrigation sub program, 851 million pesos. For the establishment of pump irrigation sub program, 7 billion pesos. Ano? Tama? Ito. Diba? For the special irrigation sub program, 2.1 billion pesos. For the Ilocos Norte, Ilocos Sur, Abra Irrigation Project Stage 2, 1.5 billion pesos. For the Tumawini River Multipurpose Project, Isabela, 2 billion pesos. Other operating subsidy, 9.6 billion pesos. And the Balog-Balog Multipurpose Project Phase 2 Tarlac, 641 million pesos.
Senwin, if we may request po, just so we can compare, would it be possible to type the figures as well? Maybe po in the another column, para po hindi pa, kasi hindi pa po yun yung adopted. Dun po sa right side lang. Senwin, if I may, maybe move to another agency for now. There seems to be a little bit of discrepancy in the numbers. So to give the team, the technical team, some time to work on it, maybe move to another agency po muna. If that's okay po.
We can do that.
Thank you very much po.
So we go to Department of Transportation.
On the part of the House, for the Department of Transportation, we included the following amendments in the House version of the GAB. We included an increase of 2.79 billion pesos for the Department of Transportation. For the operation and maintenance of Metro Rail Transit 3, 266.4 billion pesos. Million pesos. For the MRT Line 3 rehabilitation, an additional 500 million pesos. The first two are very important because if we're not able to add to these, the MRT will only be operating for 10 months. So we're adding the additional the additional 266 million so that they could operate for the 12 whole months. For the MRT line rehabilitation, there was no amount in the NEP for the rehab, so we are adding the 500 million pesos. Additional funding for active transport with an increase of 36 million pesos. The funding for several airports totaling to 1.05 billion pesos. The funding of several ports for an additional 130 million pesos. The night rating of 3 airports. These are very important because many of the airports can only operate during the day, and because of that, there are only a few flights flying to and from those airports, which can result to higher ticket prices. Yun po, di ba? Sinasabi po, Senwin, to our colleagues here, na paminsan po, sobrang mahal nung ticket. Yung lagi pong binabanggit, yung Siargao at saka yung Busuanga, dahil po konti lang po yung nag-ooperate na flights dahil hindi nga po sila makalipad sa gabi. So ito pong night rating ng mga airports ay napakahalaga para po mas marami pong mga flights yung pwede pong pumasok dito po sa mga lokasyon na to at mas mapamura po yung presyo noong mga ticket. So ano-ano po yung mga airports na to? 3 airports, Kawayan Airport, Busuanga Airport in Palawan, and Siargao Airport. So with these airports would now be night rated. For funding requirements for the Magna Carta of Filipino Seafarers, an additional 66.2 million pesos. This is a new law that is yet to be funded. So this is the first time that it will be funded. The GOP counterpart for the procurement of 40 fast patrol crafts for the Philippine Coast Guard, at 1 million pesos. The procurement of high-speed response boats. Parang ito din po yung nabanggit ni Senator Erwin kanina, doon po sa West Philippine Sea. So we are providing the Philippine Coast Guard with an additional 367 million pesos for the procurement of 8 8 high-speed response boats para po mas makagalaw po sila sa West Philippine Sea. An additional 150 million pesos for other operating activities of the Philippine Coast Guard. So in total, the additional amount reflected for the Department of Transportation in the HGAB would be an additional 2.79 billion pesos.
Thank you. For the Department of Transportation, Office of the Secretary, we propose an amount of 92.2 billion pesos. This is composed of General Management Supervision of 5.7 billion pesos, Metro Rail Transit Sub-Program Operations and Maintenance of Metro Rail Transit, 2.2 billion pesos, Navotas Feeder Route of 200 million pesos, Bicol International Airport of 150 million pesos, Daet Airport 150 million pesos, Camiguin Airport 150 million pesos, Siargao Airport 100 million pesos, Catbalogan Airport 200 million pesos, construction of DOT Acar Regional Office 400 million pesos, Public Transportation Modernization Program realignment of 1.3 billion pesos Public Transportation Modernization Program of 2.5 billion pesos. Metro Manila Subway Projects MMSP Phase 1, 22.2 billion pesos. North-South Commuter Railway NSCR System, 30.6 billion pesos. Maritime Industry Authority, 1.4 billion pesos. Maritime Industry Regulatory and Supervision Program, registration and provision of authority for ships and shipyard certification and documentation for seafarers, accreditation of training programs, faculty and maritime enterprises, 994 million pesos. For the Philippine Coast Guard, general management and supervision for subsistence allowance and fuel, 6.9 billion pesos. Support to operations, conduct Coast Guard training courses, 2 billion pesos. Maritime Search and Rescue Program, Maritime Search and Rescue Operations, 3.9 billion pesos. Maritime Search and Rescue Program, Disaster Response Operations, 2.6 billion pesos. Maritime Security and Law Enforcement Program, operate the National Coast Watch Center, 46 million pesos. Maritime Security and Law Enforcement Program, Shore Operations, 2.3 billion pesos. Maritime Security and Law Enforcement Program, Sea-Based Operations for Subsistence Allowance, Fuel, and PCG Floating Assets, 13.8 billion pesos. Maritime Environmental Protection Program, Site Inspectors, 1.4 billion pesos. Maritime Environmental Protection Program, Site Recovery Activities, 961 million pesos. Maritime Environmental Protection Program, enforce laws, rules, and regulations for the protection of maritime environment, 1 billion pesos. Maritime Safety Program, salvage operation, 648 million pesos. Maritime Safety Program, provision of aids to navigation, vessel traffic system, and maritime communication, 1.4 billion pesos. Maritime Safety Program, enforce flag and port state control inspection, 876 pesos. Million pesos. Maritime Safety Program, enforce salvage regulation, 624 pesos. Million pesos. Ano ito?
Yes, sir. 1 million lang yan. Bahay lang siya.
Acquisition of 40 units fast patrol crafts, 1 million pesos. Construction of various multi-purpose buildings. Task Force Camp with complete facilities for Philippine Coast Guard in Pandilusan Island, Payo, Zamboanga, Zipugay, 30 million pesos.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I have two quick questions. Pakiulit po yung acquisition of 40 units of fast craft, 1 million pesos pa lang po yun. 40 po ito.
Ito po ay foreign assisted project, Mr. President. So loan po ito, magiging loan. Kailangan lang ho nila ng counterpart funds.
Okay, another point, Mr. Chair, you were mentioning about Navotas feeder route and Bicol International Airport. Parang iba po yung figure na nabanggit ninyo dito sa figures dito sa day 2 na copy na hawak po natin. Can you repeat that one more time, Mr. Chair?
Navotas feeder route po is 200 million pesos. Bicol International Airport is 150 million pesos po.
But this is 800 that we have here, Mr. Chair.
This is just to jumpstart the program, Mr.
Oh,
President.
okay.
Doon po sa Bicol naman, magre-relocate lang sila. Actually, hindi siya airport eh. Magre-relocate ho sila ng transmission line. So after analyzing their work program, nakita ho namin na magre-relocate ho sila ng transmission lines. No?
And last point, Mr. Chair, yung request po nila, para hindi po yata nakasama dito, doon pa lang po sa committee natin, nagre-request po ang Philippine Coast Guard yung kanilang health card benefits dahil wala po sila yung kanilang health benefits, Mr. Chair. And they were saying, which I can understand, whenever they are out in the seas, tapos pag tumawag yung pamilya nila na may sakit yung family member nila, kinda bumababa ang moral nila because they don't know kung umaasa lang sila sa PhilHealth. So yun po yung how do we deal with this, Mr. Chair?
Unfortunately po, hindi ho sila nakalagay sa National Expenditure Program at due to fiscal space po, inuna ho natin muna yung subsistence allowance ho nila. So guaranteed na ho yung subsistence allowance ho nila. And we promise His Honor Senator Erwin na pagdating po next year, we'll try to fund the HMO ho nila. No? Also with the other agencies, kasi may mga agencies rin, lalo na yung mga military uniform personnel na ganun po yung request para pantay-pantay po. So we'll analyze that, we'll consult with you regarding this incentive, kung paano natin i-execute sa this coming year po.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Maraming salamat po.
Mr. Chairman,
Okay.
I yield
No,
to
it's okay. Go ahead. I think it's the House's turn.
thank you, Madam Chair.
Kong Rufus Rodriguez.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, Madam Chair, Mindanao is the second largest island in the Philippines with 26 million population. If you will look at the Department of Transportation, there is no railway system in Mindanao. We can recall that during the time of President Duterte, there was already a feasibility study, everything was ready for phase 1 of the Mindanao railway system, which is from Tagum, Davao City, and then Digos. May we know the status of that because it was a very long project study. We spent so much for that. And may we know why there has been no implementation of this, the first railway project in Mindanao? Because in Luzon, you can see here, there is a North Rail, there is a South Rail, there is an East Rail, there is a West Rail, no single inch of rail in Mindanao.
According to the agency, to DOTR, the funder of Mindanao Rail backed out, or I think maybe backed out is the wrong term, but there was a mutual agreement not to pursue the loan program. This is according to the DOTR. But in 2025, they allocated 200 million for the Mindanao Rail project to continue the activities of Mindanao Rail. But of course, 200 million, hindi yung magkakasya to. No? So they're relying on another funder to come in to completely fund the Mindanao Rail. No? But that's still in the pipeline of the DOTR. Unfortunately, nawala po yung original funder. No? I believe it was China. No? It was China who was supposed to fund Mindanao Rail. So they're looking for other funders for that. No?
Okay, juxtaposed with that is the railway, Mindanao Railway System Part 2, Phase 2, which is really from San Luis Oriental to Cagayan de Oro to Laguindingan and then to Iligan. And may we know because the project study, 100 million, was already completed. And may we know the status of that? Because then we have possible two railways so that, railway is always the cheapest form of transportation of goods and people. And may we know why there is nothing here yet about these two very important railway systems, which are good for 22% of our people who are in Mindanao, 22% of the 119 million Filipinos. Do we know about that? Why there's nothing here, zero?
Mr. Congressman Rufus, it's not in the NEP. The agency did not request for that. So I think the most appropriate agency to talk to and inquire about that is the Department of Transportation. No?
Ito. Alam nyo, pare-pareho naman tayong mga nagtatanong sa ahensya. Yung mga ahensyang yan, sang-ayon ako sa inyo, kailangan. Bakit hindi linigay sa NEP? Hindi naman trabaho ng senador, ng chairman ng finance, sagutin ang ahensya, bakit wala sa NEP? Yun na yung tanong namin, bakit nga wala sa NEP? Mag-isip-isip sila, matuto sila gumawa ng budget nila. Bakit tayo mag-iisip ngayon, ba't wala sa NEP?
Thank you for the lecture,
Yeah.
Senator Loren.
I'm not lecturing.
No, we thank you really. You're really saying the right thing.
No,
But
it's true.
anyway,
Because I was there for 5 years, and sometimes, hanggang last minute, they submit in the Bicam. Why should they submit in the Bicam? Pag-isipan nila ang kanilang NEP, National Expenditure Program, the President's Budget. That's why ayaw namin ma-insertion sa Bicam. Kasi dapat kung mahalaga yan, nasa NEP na yan. And then they come to a senator during the plenary, isingit nyo to. Ayaw namin. Okay, we amend, but there's only limited fiscal space. And then now, a veteran congressman asks the first-term chair of the Finance Committee, why is it not there? I'm sorry, I have to answer for him. Of course, he can very much answer that, but if it's not in the NEP, what do we do, right?
I also agree with Senator Ligarda and the chair. So therefore, I think Secretary Banoy Lopez is listening to us now. The suggestion of our senator is probably in the next cycle for 2027, we should be able to have that.
If I may add, after this, let's organize the oversight committee so that we even, walang masama, we are consulted when they do their NEP. Masama ba yun? Hindi. Kasi lahat ng output natin, sabi natin, bakit ang DND puro infra, ba't kulang sa ganito? So, example yung DND, bakit ito, wala yung Mindanao Rail? Agree kami dyan. Ano mang priorities nila, di ba? Kaya hearing tayo ng hearing. Gawa tayo ng monthly oversight committee ng bicameral. Tanungin nyo yan, kaagad. Sang-ayon ako dyan.
I agree again with Senator Ligarda. So, in fact, in the budget hearing of the DOTR in the House, there was a commitment of Secretary Lopez that there will be a roadshow precisely to get funders for the two railway phase 1 and 2, so that we can already, once there is a roadshow and there is a funder, then that's the time we can include. So I would just like to seek the support of all the senators and all the congressmen that the oversight will be created, and we would wish that DOTR would really go into the roadshow for these two projects, so that for the first time, Mindanao will have the two railway systems. So again, my thanks to Senator Gatchalian and Chairman Gatchalian and Chairman Mika Swansing for taking this up, the possibility already of the DOTR probably in the budget of 2027 already include amounts once we have funders already for these two vital, important projects for Mindanao the railway system. Thank you so much, Chairman. and Vice
Well,
Chair.
I will try to answer as much as I can, but there are a lot of information that the agency the agency can answer more appropriately. No? But I think as far as I know, it's a question of funder. No? Yun ang problema po.
Yes, Mr.
Mr.
Chair.
Chairman,
Yes.
Mr. Chairman.
We'll recognize Senator Amy first.
Yes,
and then-
thank you very much. I think this has to do with railways as well. I noticed two FAPs that have been reduced quite severely. Both the Metro Manila Subway project at 45 billion under the NEP has been reduced under the Senate for 25 billion. In the same manner, the North-South Commuter Railway at 76 billion in the NEP has been reduced to 37. My question is, are the amounts indicated in the NEP the minimum payments for our counterpart?
Yes, Senator Amy. In fact, we received a letter dated December 1, 2025. Let me just read it. Considering the remaining unobligated funds under the current FAPs and in line with our urgent priorities of the national government to further boost economic growth and social equity, we would like to respectfully inform the Senate of the possibility of reclassifying 34 billion out of the total loan proceeds allocation in our fiscal year 2026 proposed budget to the unprogrammed appropriations to support various priorities of national government. This adjustment will ensure more efficient use of available resources and present a timely opportunity to put existing resources to work where they are needed most. And we were also looking at the utilization rate of these two projects. The average, for example, in 2024, the utilization rate of the North-South Commuter Railway is only 23%. And the Metro Manila Subway is only 17%, Mr. President, Senator Amy. So definitely the amounts allocated are not being utilized. So that's why they sent us a letter so that we can consider this.
Yes, the concern, of course, is that firstly, the cost to the public has been measured many, many times by the World Bank, by JICA, and they run into billions every day, as well as, of course, the handling costs, because those are billions too. And finally, the reputational damage to the Philippines, because we don't pay our debts. So my problem is shunting the loan counterparts for foreign assisted projects towards the unprogrammed really is not the solution. I think perhaps the solution is more efficient absorption and implementation of the projects. If we are at 23 and 17%, surely the solution is to renegotiate the loan and start from scratch rather than constantly paying handling costs and being indebted for who knows how much, immeasurable in terms of reputation.
Actually, in the past 5 years, the North-South Commuter Railway, the average utilization is only 33%, and the Metro Manila Subway is only 36%. So the utilization remains very low for these two projects. However, the recommendation of the agency was to transfer it to unprogrammed funds because the unprogrammed funds normally comes in second quarter of the year, and that can be used to fund the two projects that were mentioned.
Ganun pa man, hindi po solusyon yun. Kasi alam naman natin,
Yes.
kapag unprogrammed, ala chamba yan. Hindi naman sigurado na may savings. Ano? Kaya't itong mga project na ito, inaasam-asam ng ating mga kababayan. Na hirap na sa traffic, lalo na ngayon, tag-ulan, plus Christmas pa, talaga naman oras-oras na nawawalda sa traffic. Ito na lang talaga ang solusyon. Sana maisip natin kung paano gagawin to dahil kailangan na talaga ang public transport dito sa Metro Manila at sa North-South commuter railway areas. So, yung pag-aawas at paglilipat ng budget sa unprogrammed para sa akin ay hindi tunay na solusyon.
Yung ang program ho na later on pagpunta ho natin sa ang program, makikita ho natin na kumonti po yung mga items ho doon at dahil po kumonti, yung allocation po sa mga foreign assisted mas lumaki, no? So yun po ang ginawa ho natin para po magamit po yung program sa mga foreign assisted projects po.
Opo, ipagpaumanin ninyo, pero sa ganitong panahon na sunod-sunod ang bagyo, lindol at iba pa, talagang hindi ako maasa na marami po tayong savings. Although, syempre, kinikilala naman natin na malaki na ang binawas sa program. Maraming salamat.
Mr. Chairman,
Minority Leader Marcelino Lebanon.
Madam Chair, thank you. I would like to go back to the earlier suggestion of Senator Legarda on creating a joint bicameral conference committee oversight committee so that we can exercise oversight monthly on the proposed budget and even go back to the expenditure of government. Napaka-importante po ito dahil kahit yung Mindanao Rail, hindi na naitutuloy, malaki ng ginasto natin. Mayroon din tayong Leyte-Samar Rail which will connect Luzon and Mindanao. Wala rin sa budget ngayon. Hindi natin alam. Kaya kung ayaw kong bitawan yung kanyang thoughts, kaya if it is proper, I would like to present a motion for the creation of the Bicameral Conference Committee Oversight Committee, that joint oversight committee that we can even, if possible, include in the special provisions of this GAA. So moved, Madam Chair.
Second.
Senmin, if I may respond, perhaps this is I would have to check if this is the proper forum for us to act on that motion. So we may
It can be added.
we would still need to explore that if you would give me and Senator Win the time to explore the rules as of now as to which forum is the correct forum for that motion.
In fact, I would suggest to Chair Mika to immediately create the Joint Congressional Oversight Committee on Public Expenditures. This is a built-in oversight committee for the Committee on Finance and the Committee on Appropriations to conduct oversight on all the expenditures and, of course, those items that are not being spent as well. No? So we can constitute that early next year.
Yes, I would be very much supportive to convening that. We will act on that motion, Maino, if you could give Senwin and I the opportunity to figure out the mechanics, the procedures that we would have to follow to convene the said joint oversight committee, joint between the House and the Senate.
Gladly, Madam Chair.
Yes, that is really a great idea. We want to exercise stronger oversight over the implementation of the 2026 budget, and us convening that joint committee would actually do a big part in for us to be able to operationalize that. We'll get back to you po, Maino, and we'll get back, of course, to all of the BICAM conferees as to the next step forward as we convene that committee.
Madam Chair.
Representative Albert Garcia.
Thank you, Madam Chair, Mr. Chair. In line with what Senator Amy was saying earlier, there was a JICA study way back 2017, if I'm not mistaken, where it says we're losing 3.5 billion pesos a day because of the inefficiencies of our economy. This is due to time wasted, traffic, pollution, productivity loss, work-life balance loss, and so on. So, 3.5 billion pesos a day. Ngayon po, gabi na, Mr. Chair, Madam Chair, we already lost 3.5 billion pesos. And if we will multiply this by 365 days, that will amount to 1.2 trillion pesos. And the study further says that by 2030, kung hindi ma-resolve yung problema ng congestion, it will escalate to 5.4 billion pesos. Times 365 days, that is 1.9 trillion pesos. Madam Chair, Mr. Chair, my dear colleagues, that will totally negate everything that we are discussing here, easily. So, mas grabe pa to sa kahit anong delubyo na dumarating sa ating bansa, mas grabe pa to sa kahit anong korupsyon na pinag-uusapan natin. This is times 100 times 1,000. And it seems like hindi po natin nasusolusyonan. So, habang iniintay po natin yung mga flagship projects ng rail, ng subway, ng mga tulay that will give efficiency to this congestion, may item po tayo dito pagdating sa modernization ng ating public utility at yung service contracting or libreng sakay. May I suggest, Mr. Chair, Madam Chair, na dito po sa modernization, isama rin po natin, hindi lang sa land, but also sa maritime. Nang sa ganon, mas maging efficient at multimodal yung ating transportation. While waiting for the flagship projects, let's not forget, and Senator Loren is an expert on this, na we have natural infrastructure readily available for utilization. For example, the Pasig River, na nandyan na, kailangan lang natin i-utilize. Manila Bay, nandyan na, kailangan lang natin i-utilize. These are the less beaten path as opposed to the overly beaten path where we do our skyway, railway, subway. We build on top of each infrastructure. Ito po yung less beaten path which we can utilize immediately, natural infrastructure, na kapag i-combine lang natin yung land and maritime, pwede po natin mapakinabangan. So I suggest and I move that dun po sa modernization, aside from public land, we include maritime, transport, modernization, nang sa ganon, yung symbiotic relationship na ito will deflate the 3.5 billion pesos a day of losses kahit papano while waiting for the flagship projects to be completed. At the same time, dun po sa other item below the modernization, ito po yung contracting services or libreng sakay, which from the feedback of DOTR, 100% utilization po ito. Sana po malagyan natin ng pondo at masama rin po natin yung maritime passenger services. Nang sa ganon, with modernization and support to the passengers, ay ma-deflate po natin itong 3.5 billion pesos a day of losses in Metro Manila at makatulong po sa Visayas and Mindanao itong mahalagang proyekto na ito. So, with the indulgence of my colleagues, I so move, Mr. Chair, Madam Chair. Salamat po.
Mr. Chair, may I? Napakaganda ng sinabi ni Congressman Abet Garcia, hindi lang yung sa land, kundi ginagamit yung mga natural thoroughfares like lakes and rivers which are traversing the metropolis, really. But what is your motion? To approve? Is it a motion to convene the oversight or is it monetary? Is it an amendment to a monetary provision?
Both, Madam Chair, kasi yung modernization only includes land. So I move that we include maritime for the modernization and for the servicing contract or yung libreng sakay, it only includes land. Isama na rin po natin yung maritime passenger services. Nang sa ganon, this will be complementary to each other and immediately help deflate the ballooning 3.5 billion pesos a day of losses.
Wala tayong dagdag na amount kasi wala tayong pagkukunan. So, only in the nomenclature. So yung amount dito, it will cover we agree. But if it's an additional amount, we don't know where we'll get it.
Yeah. Sa ano po, sa modernization, the Senate's version is to the amount of 2.5 billion 2.5 billion 32 sa modernization po. Ang motion ko po is to include maritime sa modernization program. Now, below it, sa House version or sa HGAB version, sa service contracting, 1.3 billion po yung House version at wala po sa Senate. My motion is to include maritime passenger services nang sa ganon, masama pareho dito po sa dalawang programa.
Thank you, Congressman Garcia.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, I actually agree, and it's a very good suggestion. And I hope that first, I appreciate the House's reiteration of the convening of the Oversight Committee, but second, to also include in those provisions mentioned by Congressman Garcia, maritime. Yes. And I hope maritime can be understood as not just, not maritime open sea, but even inland rivers and bays.
Ferry services.
Ferry services, yes.
Yes.
Yes. I don't know what the others in the BICAM panel, but I agree with the suggestion. This is for public, the whole 1.3B is a realignment. So does that mean we will divide the funds for, but we don't know where? Maritime would be so broad. I agree with you in concept, but where do we, in what program? Because this is very specific. It's not my amendment. Whose amendment is it?
May I request the suggestion? I can see the benefit of the suggestion by Congressman Abet, but may I suggest that the committee studies it because the locally funded project is geared towards the public POV modernization program. So we need to consult the agency if they can also include maritime in that program. No, I'm not very sure if they can do that. They can integrate those programs because I know the modernization is geared towards replacing the Jeep and converting it into modern Jeeps. No? So I'm not very sure if maritime can be included in that program. Okay?
Mr. Chair, I consulted also Secretary Banoy on this, and he agrees. Kung mako-consider ng BICAM, they would welcome the program, Mr. Chair, Madam Chair.
Ang tanong ko po siguro, one, we are creating a separate PAP for that because you're already adding maritime there. Second, would the amount be sufficient? Kasi ngayon po 1.3 billion lang eh. So that includes your PUV and maritime sharing the same 1.3 billion. And that 1.3 billion has already been realigned to the Public Transport Modernization Program. Siguro po ang tanong ko yung pareho sa tanong ni Senator Lauren kanina, ibabalik ba ulit? So tatanggalin ulit sa Public Transportation Modernization Program tapos yung 1.3 na yon, yung combined for the PUV and the maritime?
Kung wala na pong fiscal space, Madam Chair, Mr. Chair, pwede po nating i-divide yung dun sa modernization para magkapondo rin yung contracting services and let us include maritime on both. Nang sa ganon, magkaroon ng symbiotic relationship at mas maging efficient yung ating transport services while waiting for the flagship projects ng rail, subway, skyway, and bridges.
Yes. Mr. Chair, with all due respect and recognizing the good intent of Representative Garcia, yung modernization, hindi naman na saklaw lamang lupa, andun modernization. Pag linagyan natin ng maritime, kailangan dadagdagan rin natin ng underground kasi yung subway. Kailangan lalagyan din natin ng overhead kasi yung LRT. Pagkatapos may air din. Nagiging komplikado po. Siguro mas maigi, iwanan na yung modernization with a clear understanding na sakop nga lahat.
The reason why we propose to increase the modernization dahil malaki ang backlog sa modernization program and we want to keep the modernization program going, no? Kasi maraming cooperatives na ready na sila mag-modernize but kulang lang yung subsidy, no? So that's the reason why we propose to increase it, no, to 2.5 billion.
Senwin, if I may, given that we still have to study it, we can either do one of two things. Approve the DOTR budget as is, and then we can revisit it tomorrow if necessary, or we defer until this is resolved. I would prefer the first option, actually. We still have tomorrow, so let's approve it as it is for now, and then we can make the adjustments tomorrow. We'll have enough time to confer with Secretary Banoy on the matter.
I agree, and we can also study the proposal. The proposal is quite novel, and also the benefit will, yeah, it's very good, it's novel, and I'm sure it will benefit a lot of our constituents. But give us time to study, and give us time to also consult with the agency on that project.
I agree also, actually, SVC Abet consulted me also before he made the manifestation. I was also in agreement of the intent. We just need to fine-tune how we would actually affect it on the budget. So by tomorrow po, SVC Abet, if that's okay, we'll revisit, and then we still have another item to revisit within the OTR tomorrow. There was also a request from Secretary Banoy with regard to doing some realignments from the MMSP and the NSCR towards the common station, the Cavite Common Station, LRT Line 1 Cavite Extension Common Station, and the AFCS. So we still have one more item that we need to tackle within the budget of the DOTR tomorrow. So we'll do that alongside this, the point on the maritime subsidy and modernization, if that's okay.
Point of information lang po. Napansin ko lang, yung sa, tama ba yung nakikita ko? Yung Katbalogan ba yan? Let's just go back. Dahil yung Camiguin Airport, magkano ba ang inalat ng Senate? Parang nalilito kami kasi parang naging 150 na lamang, samantalang dun sa papel na binigay sa amin, 250. Alin ba talaga yung budget ng Camiguin Airport? Alam natin, island province yan at hirap na hirap sa transport. Dito sa papel kasi 250, pero dyan sa projected sum, nasa 150. Alin yung tama?
150 po, 150. Yeah, 150.
Bakit sa atin nga,
Hindi ko alam eh.
Mr. Chair. Madam Chair,
Yes, Representative JJ Romualdo.
Honorable Chairman of the Senate, Sen. Sherwin, may I appeal that maski lang po 200 to, if it's okay.
Actually, this is a proposal from the committee. Senator JV proposed this, And it's not an agency, it's not in the NEP, but it's an agency proposal that the subcommittee carried. No? Yeah.
Because as far as I'm concerned, from the agency, I was informed that they will put it in the HGAB or to the BICAM 500. Then it appears 250. Because last year po, nilagyan po ng 200 to, hindi nga rin lumabas, naging FLR. No? So now, if it's okay, Mr. Chair.
Again, I raise the point again. If it is so important to the agency, why did they not put it in the NEP? And then they come to the Senate, and of course, I'm very supportive, Kong JJ. Kaya lang, hindi nila linigay sa NEP.
Can I have a 1-minute suspension, Mr.
Yeah,
Chair?
let me just say, and if it's in the GAA 2025 na FLR, then we ask DBM to release it. Yeah, magkano yung na FLR dyan? Oh, tapos hindi sila maglagay sa NEP. Ano bang ahensya yan? Bakit sila ganun?
May pondo pa sila dahil
so
na
merong
FLR.
na FLR, ang way forward dyan, iparelease yung FLR na yan.
Yeah. Kasi makikerry
Nandyan yan eh. Oh, para tapos itong Senado nagpasok nito, hindi man nila sasabihin nila priority nila pero hindi lagay sa NEP tapos sa Senado pupunta. It's not even in the HGAB and there's a congressman from Camiguin. So it really baffles me. Ba't ganito? That's why these agencies have to learn.
Yes, Mr. Chair, marami naman po tayong linalagay talaga sa NEP, sa BICAM na wala naman dito sa NEP. Pero nagtataka ako kasi yung nasa papel at yung nasa projected image, iba-iba yung number. Alin ba talaga yung number? Halimbawa sa Navotas, feeder route, sabi 800 dito sa papel na pinamigay, andyan 200 na lamang. Bicol Airport, 500, naging 150 na lamang. Tapos yung Daet, 250, naging 150. Tapos yung Camiguin nga, tulad ng sinabi natin. At yung Katbalogan, dati 300, ngayon 200 na lamang dyan sa projected image. Alin po yung tama at bakit nagkakaganito?
Yun po yung mga, tinignan din ho natin yung utilization, then we also consulted with the agencies. Ang kailangan po is to jumpstart the project. Wala ho siya sa NEP, wala rin ho siya sa GAB, but linagay ho ng Senate para po to jumpstart the project. No? So, we consulted along the way kung ano pa yung amounts or minimum amounts to jumpstart the project. So, ito yung mga amounts na recommended po. No? So, but in other words, matutuloy po yung project. And these are Senate interventions, no? So that matuloy po yung project. May mga cases katulad ng Camiguin po na may pondo na FLR lang. No? So matutuloy rin siya in 2026. No?
So, ang sinasabi natin, Chair, yung mga tamang number, yung nakikita natin, eto, yung nakaproject, itong pinamigay, mali. Tama ba yun? Kasi mali itong nakasulat sa amin.
Ito po yung recommended amounts.
Okay,
Yun po yung
tapos
recommended amounts.
meron rin dito na hindi ko nakita dyan, yung Rail Transport Program Light Rail, LRT Line 1, Passenger Subsidy, walang nakasulat dyan, samantalang dito sa papel na pinamigay sa amin, nasa 3.6 billion. Alin ba yung tama?
Madam, Mr. Chair,
May I?
dapat
Okay.
Samantalang blanco kasi dyan.
Oo. Mr. Chair, nangyayari talaga ito. Pati nung panahon ko noon, iba yung third reading version, iba yung sa BICAM. Kasi what we are holding here in our hard copy is what we approved on third reading. Between the third reading and the BICAM, we go back to agencies and we re-review their utilization. And this agency is notorious for not using their funds. Not only this agency now, but since Aquino administration, I remember that was my complaint from 2012, my secretary si Abaya, they would not use their funds. So, these cuts from from the hard copy we have on the third reading, I'm not the vice chair of this, I'm just trying to defend the chair and the vice chair kung sino naglagay. There was a slight reduction because they still have their unutilized from GAA 2025. That's what I imagine would be the reason, right?
Mr. Chair, there's an appeal of a fellow member. The final reading of the Senate has 250, and there's a request for 200. I think I would move that we have, instead of the middle ground is 250, it became 150. So Congressman JJ of the Island Paradise of Camiguin would wish that we have at least 200. So I would move that we approve that request.
We'll have a minute suspension, Mr. President.
Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman,
Chair.
just on the Philippine Coast Guard, kasi for the past 4 years, our Regional Development Council had recommended to put up an administration building of the Coast Guard in a 16-hectare property along the sea beside the Laguindigan International Airport. So just to be able to say that that will be a very good response to Mindanao Sea. The exit of that will be the West Philippine Sea. And so we'd like to therefore request that probably in the next year, we cannot put it down here, but it be put on record that for 4 years, the RDC had recommended 500 million for the administrative building in the 16-hectare property, very, very valuable, beside the Laguindigan International Airport and beside the sea. It's a coastal area. So just as a point of, for the information of everyone, for next year, we hope that if it will be taken both by the HGAB and the Senate, 500 million for the Philippine Coast Guard Administrative Office Region 10 in Laguindigan, in Misamis Oriental. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
The manifestation of Representative Rodriguez is noted. May I solicit a motion from the body?
I reiterate motion to approve.
Second, the budget, duly seconded, the budget of the Department of Transportation is duly approved. I failed
Pending
to-
the two items,
Yes.
Sherwin, the point around the maritime, the inclusion of maritime in the modernization and subsidy funds, as well as the
Service contracting.
realignment requested by Secretary Banoy to ACS and the Cavite Common Station. So we can tackle both of those
All
tomorrow.
right. And I also failed to mention some items under the DOTR. This is budgetary support to government corporations for Light Rail Transit Authority under the LRTA, Systems and Facilities Improvement, 1 billion. Philippine National Railways, design, repair, construction, rehabilitation of bridges, about 500 million. May I request a motion to approve these two?
So move.
Moved by Senator Irwin, second by Senator Kiko Pangilinan. The budget of LRT and PNR is duly approved. Now we go to Congress of the Philippines.
Irrigation.
Irrigation.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, we move now. We go back to the National Irrigation.
Yes, we have been given the figures,
Office.
the reconciled figures.
National Irrigation Administration.
Mr. Chairman.
We recognize Senator Kiko.
Yes, while we are looking for the reconciled figures as earlier manifested, we just have some concerns about the proposals for the additional appropriations for the National Irrigation Subsistence Program, as well as the Communal Irrigation Sub-Program and other irrigation system sub-program, because on the part of the Senate, we requested the NIA to submit coordinates of the various irrigation systems corresponding to the amount of 10 billion, for example, in the Senate version, and they were able to submit. But upon inquiry, there are a number of items that have been proposed by the House wherein the coordinates of the systems, whether it's the national irrigation system or the communal irrigation system, have yet to be submitted. In the Senate version, when we passed it on third reading, the 10 billion pesos worth of national irrigation system projects, the list form part of our annex, together with coordinates, together with the detailed description, and that's why we would like to suggest, or we request that the House panel provide the Bicameral Conference Committee the list of projects totaling about 8 billion pesos. But based on my computation, I could be mistaken. For the record, Mr. President. Mr. Chairman.
Madam Chair, Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Representative Allen.
thank you. Mr. Chairman, we are in receipt of a letter from the National Irrigation Administration dated December 12, 2025, requesting that its operations budget be structured at the program and sub-program levels as presented in the National Expenditures Program and to be consistent with the DBM program expenditures classification. Instead of being itemized by the specific projects, the request is premised on unforeseen technical issues, field conditions, or implementation constraints. Likewise, NIA requested the withdrawal of its earlier submissions dated November 26 and November 27 before the Senate concerning a proposed special provision granting authority to modify the list of irrigation projects, citing inconsistency with the general provisions on modification under Section 83, as well as the rules on savings under Section 80 and 81 rules on augmentation. In lieu thereof, NIA requests the inclusion of a new special provision consistent with the rules on modification and augmentations to be read as follows. Special provision submission on the list of irrigation system and projects prior to the release of allotment. The release of funds under operations shall be subject to the submission by the National Irrigation Administration of a special budget request to the Department of Budget and Management, together with a complete and updated list of irrigation systems and projects under its sub-program. The said list shall be duly certified by the head of agency and shall serve as the basis for the implementation of irrigation programs, activities, and projects, or PAPs. Any change or modification to the submitted list shall be supported by appropriate technical justification approved by the head of agency and submitted to the DBM for monitoring purposes. These are pending requests made by the National Irrigation Administration before this committee, Mr. Chairman, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We also received a similar, well, the same request, and we discussed this with the chairperson, Chairman Wynn, and we felt that we could make some qualifications in terms of, or exceptions to the rule. The general rule is that there has to be a listing and that the coordinates would be annexed, but modification will be allowed on certain grounds. The grounds. What are the grounds? Oh yes. So we are suggesting a special provision that yes, modifications can be undertaken, but before that, we asked the NIA, among the thousands of projects, systems, how many times did you have to modify? And they said
10 to 20.
about 10 to 20 times. Therefore, it's really more, it's a very small number. And they acknowledged that it was a small number. And so because on our part, on the Senate version, since it's a small number, then let's make the exception based on the actual technical description, and then the modification would be, among others, a failed pump test due to insufficient groundwater recharge can lead to a modification. Unstable subsurface condition encountered during well development, likewise, can lead to a modification. Confirmed inaccessibility or logistical constraints preventing implementation. And then such conditions shall be certified by the NIA regional manager and a licensed geologist or geotechnical civil engineer recommended by the NIA administrator and approved by the NIA board. The reason why we would like to limit the discretion of modification is precisely because, it could be open to abuse, to put it bluntly. And therefore, yes, modification can happen, but along the following, based on the following grounds. And I think the NIA agreed, no, that they found that acceptable.
Actually, Mr. Chairman, the NIA already proposes a special provision, and we can add on what Senator Kiko has manifested before this committee. And anyway, Mr. Chairman, we have a general provisions already on the rules on modification under Section 83. So it's just that NIA is requesting for operational flexibility that it be allowed to be allowed that the special provision as it proposes for a special budget request instead of making the list as attached annex in our General Appropriation Act.
Precisely, we were concerned, and I consulted our chairman, that in their proposal, a list should no longer be submitted. And that we have some problems. Because, for example, if there is no list, how do we know if the project is actually part of the irrigation master plan? So these are some of the concerns. Then, how do we know if where the project or the system, irrigation system, is going to be constructed if there is no list and no coordinates? We're trying to avoid, and this is the position of the chairman, the situation wherein precisely the amounts are just lump sum, and we don't know where the amounts will go, how much of the amounts will go to what particular project. So that's the challenge, and therefore we felt the annex and the list is critical, and that if changes or modifications for each system is necessary because of precisely the project cannot be implemented because of certain conditions, and therefore needs to be modified and perhaps changed, a location change is necessary, then it's identified. So we also identified, or at least provided, that the modification must be within the same program or sub-program and within the same province. Again, because we want to make sure, well, again, the experience in the last, the last budget and the public works flood control scam, wherein hindi na natin alam, may mga ghost project dahil hindi natin alam lump sum yung mga amounts na nilipat-lipat ng BICAM nung nakaraan. And therefore, we'd like to avoid, or we are allergic to lump sum amounts without detailed annexes and listing. This is at least the position of the Senate.
Mr. Chairman, if I may also refer to the special provisions.
Oh yes, just one more point. On November 27, because of the exchange of communications, the NIA at least relayed to us, the Senate panel, that they are okay with an annex list, provided they can modify certain systems or projects based on the grounds that we identified.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, actually the letter dated November 27, addressed to the Honorable Senator Kiko Pakilinan, is already based on the latest letter dated December 12, 2025. Actually, they pointed out that's why they are requesting that the subject letter be withdrawn because of the inconsistency on the rules on modification, augmentation. Precisely, Your Honor, that's why they have gave us a letter dated December 12, 2025, to correct the earlier letter that was submitted before the Honorable Senator Kiko Pangilinan, as well as before the Chairman of the Committee on Finance. So,
Senwin, maybe your request for a suspension? Thank you very much. With regard to the manifestation of Senator Kiko Pangilinan, actually out of the roughly 18 billion, out of the 18 billion that is indicated in the additional 18 billion as indicated in the HGAB, we already have the listing for those items. We just have a few left, but majority, I would say 90% of the 90 to 95% of the 18.3 billion were already with the list. So definitely po, we already have that. And perhaps we can, if it's okay po, if we can finalize the special provision tomorrow, so we can fine-tune a bit and finalize the wording. So yun po siguro yung request namin kay San Kiko, if that's okay po.
Yes, Congresswoman Mika, we are okay with the proposition that we will approve the budget subject to the finalization of the special provisions tomorrow. So thank you, and we are happy to note that there are, you have a list. It's a work in progress, and hopefully we can resolve, this issue with the special provisions tomorrow.
Actually, during the hearing of NIA, we found out, Senator Kiko was the chairperson of that committee. We found out that these projects are lump sum in the past years. They're huge amounts, to a tune of 12 billion to 15 billion, all lump sum. But this year, upon the prodding of the Senate, the NIA finally gave us the listing of those lump sum amounts, and then we included that in the Senate version to include also the technical description or the coordinates of each of those NIA projects. So it's a good way to improve transparency as well as accountability, to embed those projects already in our General Appropriations Act. So that will go a long way in terms of constituency participation, constituency monitoring. So alam na nila ho kung nasaan ho yung irrigation project, gaano kahaba, at mamomonitor rin nila. This is also in line with the budget transparency portal of the President or the infrastructure transparency portal. Pwede lang i-upload ho nila at pwede rin po mamonitor ng mga constituents ho natin.
We agree definitely with that direction. We've been doing that as with the other items as well, increasing civil participation in monitoring the projects and making sure we are able to locate the different projects. So to be specific po pala, I did the computation. We're actually 96.1% done with the list. So we're almost there. Just a few more that we need to finalize, but we're already over 96% ready for the listing of the 18 billion as indicated in the HGAB. And with that po, I would like to put forth the proposed BICAM levels for the different items under the National Irrigation Administration. For the National Irrigation System Subprogram, we propose an amount of 14,432,368,000. For the Communal Irrigation System Subprogram, we propose an amount of 6,795,826,000. For the other irrigation system subprogram, we propose an amount of 667,405,000. For expansion of existing irrigation system subprogram, an amount of 881,248,000. For the establishment of pump irrigation sub-program, we propose an amount of 7,473,641,000. For the special irrigation sub-program, we propose an amount of 2,154,500,000. For the Ilocos Norte, Ilocos Sur Abra Irrigation Project Stage 2, we propose an amount of 1.5 billion pesos. For the Tumawini River Multipurpose Project Isabela, we propose an amount of 2 billion pesos. For the operating subsidy, we propose an amount of 9,653,364,000. And for the Balog-Balog Multipurpose Project Phase 2 in Tarlac, we propose an amount of 641,671,000. For a total of 63,246,735,000.
Any second?
Second.
Duly seconded. The budget of the National Irrigation Administration is hereby approved.
Mr. Chairman,
Subject to the submission of the details of the project
Madam Chair.
and the special provision. Yeah.
We concur on the part of the House that the approval of the amounts would be subject to the finalization of the special provision tomorrow.
Madam Chair.
Yes, Representative Rufus Rodriguez.
Yes, so we support certainly the proposals now, both houses. And let me just state that we agree that there should be a listing. And the House has already listed 97%. And then we have the coordinates. We want to have transparency. Cagayan de Oro lost a native son, a former employee of NIA Region 10, in the name of Kyle Antatico. Exactly 2 months today, in October 16, now December 16, there was an inurnment. He was into an inurnment ceremony. And so this death, we filed resolutions in the House to investigate because he was a whistleblower on what happened. He alleges what the NIA had done. And so this particular transparency is really the step in the right direction. And we thank our chairman, Chairman Mika Swansing, and of course we thank Kiko Pangilinan, Senator, and Senator Win, that there will be a list so that this list will guide everyone, the NIA, the public, so that we will exactly know where this big amount of 63 billion will go. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much for your kind words and your manifestation, Honorable Rodriguez. Thank you, Rufus.
All right, so we go to Congress of the Philippines.
On the part of the House, we propose to maintain the current age gap level of 37,196,133,000.
On the part of the Senate, we propose an amount of 38.6 billion pesos. Madam Chairperson. Any comments?
Move to approve.
Second.
Duly seconded. The budget of the Congress of the Philippines is hereby approved. Now we go to Office of the President.
On the part of the House, the amount that was indicated in the HGAB was 27,286,435,000.
Office of the President, Senate proposed 28 billion pesos.
So move.
Second.
Second, duly seconded. The budget of the Office of the President is hereby approved.
On the part of the House, the amount that was indicated in the in the HGAB was 733,198,000.
We go to the Office of the Vice President.
Nabanggit.
Nabanggit mo na? Okay. The Senate proposed the NEP level of 889 million pesos.
Move to approve.
Second motion.
Duly seconded. The budget of the Office of the Vice President is hereby approved. Now we go to the Department of Budget and Management.
On the part of the House, the amount indicated in the HGAB was 3,464,394,000.
All right. So on the part of the Senate, the Office of the Secretary is 3 billion pesos. And there are realignments within the Office of the DBM. From General Management and Supervision Regional Office 6, MOE to 4.6 million to General Management and Supervision Negros Island Region, MOE, same amount. Preparation and administration and review of the budget of NGA, GOCC, SUC, and LGUs, and policy formulation, standard setting, and conduct of the results-based performance monitoring, evaluation, and reporting Regional Office 6, MOE, 500,000, to preparation, administration, and review of budget of NGA, GOCC, SUC, and LGUs, and policy formulation, standard setting, and conduct of the results-based performance monitoring, evaluation, and reporting Negros Island Region, MOE, for the same amount. Any motion?
Move, Mr. Chair.
Second.
Second.
Duly seconded. Budget of the DBM, Department of Budget and Management is hereby approved. Now we go to the Department of Economy and Planning and Development.
For the Department of Economy, Planning, and Development, the HGAB level was 13,726,195,000.
On the part of the Senate, the Philippine Statistical Authority, Department of Economy and Planning and Development, under the DepDev is the Philippine Statistical Authority, we proposed 8.7 billion pesos, composed of survey of food demand of 100 million pesos, annual poverty indicator survey of 220 million pesos. Any motion?
Move to approve.
Duly seconded. The budget of the Department of Economy and Planning and Development is duly approved. For the Department of Energy,
For the Department of Energy, on the part of the House, we included an increase of 3 billion pesos, 3.002 billion pesos to the Department of Energy, broken down as follows. For the additional funding for the Philippine Gradiometry and Seismic Survey Project, or the PGSSP, an amount of 627,496,000. That is under the Office of the Secretary. And under NEA, for the CTO electrification program, we propose an increase of 2.375 billion pesos for the CTO electrification program. So that is a total for the Department of Energy, a total increase of 3,2,496,000 from the NEP level to the GAB level.
for the Office of the Secretary, the Senate proposed a 2.9 billion pesos. And the digitalization project will be discussed tomorrow. Yeah. The digitalization project will be discussed together with the other departments tomorrow.
My
Any motion?
apologies, Mr. Chair. I just realized that NEA is not yet included in this. So the proposed increase on the part of the House only for the Department of Energy is an increase of 627,496,000 for the Philippine Radiometry and Seismic Survey Project.
So once again, the Senate proposed a 2.9 billion peso for the Office of the Secretary. Any motion?
Move to approve.
Duly seconded. The budget of the Department of Energy is duly approved. Now we go to the Department of Environment and Natural Resources.
On the part of the House, for the Department of Environment and Natural Resources, under the Office of the Secretary, an additional 120 million for additional sites of mangrove planting or mangrove rehabilitation or protection. And then for the soil conservation and watershed management, the construction of one multipurpose facility, water supply and irrigation system, an amount of 150 million pesos. And under the EMB, for conducting of feasibility studies for waste to energy technologies, an additional 94 million pesos. So for the Department of Environment and Natural Resources, the House included in the HGAB an additional 364 million pesos.
On the part of the Senate, we propose an amount of 19.2 billion pesos, composed of the following: forest development, rehabilitation, maintenance, and protection, 2.4 billion pesos; protected areas development and management, 2.2 billion pesos; natural resources assessment, 67 million pesos; management of coastal and marine resources / areas, 423 million pesos; conduct of special studies, design, development in support of forestry, mining, and environmental management operations, including climate change resilience, 371 million pesos; General Management and Supervision, 4 billion pesos. Human Resource Development, 434 million pesos. Digital Transformation and Environment and Natural Resources Information System, 1.1 billion pesos. Environment and Natural Resources Education, Communication, Stakeholder Engagement Partnership, 218 million pesos. Legal Services to Support Environment and Natural Resources Law Enforcement, 392 million pesos. Formulation and Monitoring of ENR Sector Policies, Plans, Programs, and Projects, 833 million pesos. Natural Resources Management Arrangement / Agreement and Permit Issuance, 1.6 million pesos. Operations Against Illegal Environment and Natural Resources Activity, 110 million pesos. Ang yellow. Protection and Conservation of Wildlife, 25 million pesos. Land Management and Governance, 2.1 million pesos. Billion pesos. Environmental and Management Bureau, 3.4 billion pesos. Composed of implementation of clean water regulations, 587 million pesos. Planning, Policy Formulation, Management Information System, and Support to Climate Change, 394 million pesos. Mines and Geosciences Bureau, 1.8 billion pesos. Quick Response Fund, 10 million pesos. National Mapping and Resource Information Authority, 1.9 million pesos. General Management and Supervision, 191 million pesos. Any questions or motion?
Mr. Chairman.
Representative Rufus Rodriguez.
Thank you, Madam Chair. There is a reduction by the Senate of forest development, rehabilitation, maintenance, and protection in the amount of 1.1 billion. I appeal that we follow the HGov of the House because there is need to protect and maintain our forests. So this is a 1.1 billion decrease. Also for conduct of special studies and so forth, including climate change resilience, there's a reduction of about 13 million pesos. So I seek for reconsideration for these amounts and that we ask that the HGov amount of 28 billion 466 122,000 be the one adopted, the House and the HGov, Mr. Chairman. Because we are reducing forest development, rehabilitation, maintenance, and protection. Very important.
We recognize the Vice Chairperson of the Subcommittee on DNR.
Thank you very much for that comment. If there was anyone in this room who cares so much about forests and our environment, I think I would be one of the first. You know me. However, what you mentioned, the program you mentioned, covers a national greening program. I have been defending this budget from the time of Secretary Pahe. I've seen how the national greening had evolved, and to date, we've spent 60.7 billion on this program. I don't see any improvement, and I think it is even worsened through the years. And this is already the expanded national greening program. Someone mentioned, para tong Napoles. We can't even monitor where the trees are. And Mr. Chair, I just did not cut it. I met with them. We had TWG. How many times? Several times. I even got an outside consultant. And in the wake of all these flood control issues of ghost projects, I cannot stand on the floor to defend the whole budget of the National Greening Program the way it is conducted. Allow me to cite some figures and put it on the record. Again, with due respect to the Secretary now and the previous secretaries. As I said, I've been defending their budget since the beginning, day one, of this NGP. And I recall the former Senator Serge Osmeña would talk like this when I was defending it. Pinagbigyan ko, dinefend ko ng dinefend. Ito expanded NGP na. Just for the record, despite 60.7 billion spent from 2011 to 2025, national forest recovery remains very modest. Verified forest gain is just 386,793 hectares. National forest cover only increased, according to NAMRIA, from 2010 to 2020 by 5.6%. And this is inconsistent with the magnitude of spending and the reported planting. The actual verified forest recovery is very small compared to the reported planting. Again, NAMRIA data show that from 2010 to 2020, forest cover increased by only 5.66%. And about 81% of reported plantings did not become forest, whether due to natural losses, false or inaccurate reporting, or because young plantations have not yet formed a full canopy detectable by satellite imagery. Whichever is the reason, 81%. Now, third-party validation. Kumuha sila. Third-party validation by highly technical consultants commissioned by the DNR yielded very low results. Average survival rates were found to be as low as 3%. 3%. The monitoring and evaluation systems are weak and were implemented very late. For the first 7 years of the NGP, and I was there from the beginning, I was defending their budget from the beginning, and the early years of the expanded NGP, the DNR had no functional and independent long-term monitoring framework. And COA reports, read all the COA reports. It repeatedly noted the absence of geo-reference baselines, standardized survival measurement protocols, and post-maintenance tracking. The tools that should have been foundational, meaning third-party validation, satellite-based checks, or consolidated digital monitoring system, were only funded in 2018 onwards, long after billions have been disbursed. In short, it started 2011, but they only did their monitoring or third-party validation 2018. So I feel guilty. Been funding it since 2011. Earlier accomplishments were self-reported, unverifiable, and vulnerable to inflation. This structural weakness severely undermines the credibility of reported planting figures, survival rates, and expenditures. I can go on and on. Ang haba po nito. Hindi ko naman ziniro yung nagtira tayo ng ilan? More than 500 M. We just have to have a reset. And I talked to Secretary Lutilia, and he said, of course, it's new. I said, you know, we can support you in the next year, but just prove to us that from 2011 to 2025, meron nabubuhay at meron naman improvement sa forest cover na wala naman tayo. So, the remaining amounts, just to be sure there is no corruption, will be focused on planting on protected areas where the plants or the trees can be regularly monitored and protected. As you very well know, under our expanded NIPAS, a National Integrated Protected Area System, we have over 120 protected areas. So at least if it is in protected areas, it is earmarked for that. May mag-monitor yung mga PAMBI, nandyan sila. So those are the reasons, and I can say more. Let me just put this into the record. So frustrated because I used to increase them. Whatever their NEP was before, HGAB, I would increase them in the Senate for so long. It's the first time I cut them. Senator Cynthia Villar used to cut them a little. But it breaks my heart But how can I stand for this? I'll be answerable to the Filipino people. It breaks my heart, really. But I did not totally delete it. I left 500 plus million. And I said, dapat yan sa PAs. And prove to me, the next year, babawiin natin. Pakita nyo. Sabi ko sa kanila. Yes.
Mr.
Thank you.
Chairman,
Thank
we
you,
we
Mr. Chair.
really appreciate the Senator Lauren Legarde. In 1998, Senator Lauren created and established the Luntiang Pilipinas. I was not yet a congressman. I was going to my farm in Cavite. If there are many mahogany and Nara trees from Makati to Laguna along the highway, that is
Urban
the
greening.
urban greening
Nagkamali na ako sa mahogany, pero hindi bale na.
done by the.
That's true.
It's still there.
I've planted tens of millions of trees
That's
at
true.
no cost to government.
Yeah.
That was a private sector
Yes.
effort on my own. I would partner with my friends, my sponsors on the ground at no cost to government. That's not part of the NGP. So I understand tree planting. My mistake then, and I put it on record, was I planted mahogany, because mahogany is not endemic to the Philippines. But at the time, again, the DNR suggested mahogany. Maybe I was ignorant, innocent, and I planted mahogany, but not all. There was Jamelina, there was Acacia, Nara, but so many. I think the mother of Mayo Almario, siya pang kapartner ko, I used to go to Mindanao, planted everywhere, even in Cebu. That's why I was very, very young, and up to now, I'm not no longer young, but my advocacy is still the same. So, as I said, if there's anyone who'd like to do more for tree planting, I think I would be one of those here. But it breaks my heart reading the COA reports, and we did how many TWGs? Ilang oras kayo dyan? Nag-TWG sila, walang masagot. I gave them a chance to prove to us. Tapos 3% lang ang tumutubo. Ano yan? Di ba para naman ako, baka mahabla ako niyan, tapos pondo ko ng bilyon-bilyon.
Thank you, Senator. However, if I can
Yeah.
give the experience, I don't know what happened in other places, but in Cagayan de Oro, I go together with the DNR to plant along the banks of the rivers, of the 5 rivers of my district. I go with the DNR, and they are growing, they're taken care of. It includes the barangay. The barangay would take care of nourishing them until they will not need any more watering, including also in the mountains we have in Cagayan de Oro. So I don't know what happened in the other parts of the country, but I assure you that in Cagayan de Oro, all the greening program, inauguration, the planting itself, we were there. Because I am very particular about our environment in Cagayan de Oro. So that's why I still make an appeal, because I think it's important that we are able to engage the barangay officials. Because when we plant, if it is not taken care of by barangay officials, they would die. In Cagayan de Oro, a barangay officials, especially along the banks of the rivers, we plant bamboo. And they were there, and they nurture it, and now it's quite, they're very much alive, and they're now tall. So my point is that it's very small. We have only 3 billion, and then it's now 2.4. So I mean, let's give it a chance. Probably, a re-engineering on how there will be planting and the taking care of the greening program. But I tell you, you come to Cagayan de Oro, I can show. In our banks of the rivers, in our reforestation area, we're doing very well. Cagayan de Oro, 1st and 2nd district, we have forests there. We have communal forests. So that is
not a zero
my experience.
Yes.
My experience in Cagayan de Oro. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. But it depends
There's
on
500
in the body.
million. Thank you very much. We appreciate your comments, and there's 500 million, and this will be spread out in different regions of the country, and we will make sure that Cagayan de Oro is covered by the remaining 500 million.
It's not even 2.4. It's only 500. 2.4 billion.
but the NGP, different kinds of tree planting
It's
programs.
500.
Yes,
So,
500.
yeah, thank you for that.
Yes.
Okay, so that's a very good observation of the Senator.
Yeah.
The second one is climate change resilience. It does not give us, it's not a proper message that climate change resilience and the conduct of special studies is reduced by 13 million. It's from 384 to 371. So it's here, including climate change resilience. So,
This was requested by the agency to transfer it to EMB. EMB?
because 384 ang HGAB namin eh.
Yes.
Tapos naging 371.
We did not cut it. The EMB had requested,
No, it's on the, here, conduct special studies. Because the word climate change resilience is there. It is reduced by 13 million.
yeah. They moved it to EMB. It was an agency request to move it to EMB, to the Environmental Management Bureau. I didn't cut that. I didn't touch it. They just asked that it be moved to EMB. That was an agency request, Mr. Chair.
Okay, I'm clarified. Thank you. So it increases the support to climate change. It increases it to, yes, exactly the 13 million that was removed is placed in it. Thank you. So that clarifies it.
Having said that, I move that, is it okay na, DNR? We finished it? Yes,
Senator Erwin? Any comments?
thanks.
Yes, Mr. Chair. Just an observation, and perhaps I can make a manifestation that next year's budget for this protected areas development and management, no, not lakihan, rather bawasan protected areas development management, because I don't know how they're spending this, Mr. Chair. One fine example is the Sierra Madre. It's a protected area, Mr. Chair, supposedly from Isabela in the north and all the way down to the south in Quezon province. And then we had an issue last year pertaining to Bohol, in some parts of Bohol, are protected areas. But then again, Mr. Chair, wala pong nagawa ang DNR to protect these protected areas, Mr. Chair. Sierra Madre, ongoing po ang mining. And then may mga construction ng mga subdivision. Diyan na lang po sa may Rizal Province. Nagtayuan na po dyan ng mga subdivision sa Sierra Madre foothills, Mr. Chair. So my question is, how are they spending this? I mean, isn't it too much, Mr. Chair? 2,256 million, and both the HGAB and the Senate version have the same amount, Mr. Chair. Perhaps maybe next year, can we cut it down to probably half na lang muna? Kasi wala naman tayo nakikitang pinoprotektahan nitong protected areas development and management, Mr. Chair. Yes, can I manifest that? We cut this down, Mr. Chair?
Wait, are you referring to the protected areas development and management?
Yes,
2.2?
yes, yes, Senator Lauren.
Remember during our interpellation in plenary, galit na galit tayo sa mga pinapakita niyong video, hindi na lang masagot. So, hindi ako magagalit pag ikalahati mo ito.
Yeah, maybe we can transfer this somewhere else, Mr. Chair.
With the permission of our counterpart.
Pero teka, sino nandito ba diyan? Ang mag-suffer dito yung mga PAMBI. It seems like it's not a lump sum. Nakakalat yan. PS by province.
Kaya ka siguro, Mr. Chair, next year, I mean, I'm
Next
talking
year na
about
lang.
next year, we can review this and study sa committee level pa lang. Well, right now, we don't have time anymore. Pero my proposal is, what about next year, pag-aralan ho natin ito? Kasi parang, saan sweldo, napakalaki naman. Anong ginagawa nila sa 2.2 billion? When in fact, hindi naman maprotektahan. Yung Sierra Madre na lang, Mr. Chair. Nakakalbo na ang Sierra Madre. Yung nga lang yung isa pang issue yung sa Bohol province, nakita natin may mga tinayong swimming pool sa Chocolate Hills. Protected area, Mr. Chair. So, saan ginagasta itong 2 bilyon na supposedly for protection ng mga protected areas natin, Mr. Chair? Baka pwede nating hatiin na lang ito natin next year, Mr. Chair, at ilagay sa iba pang mahalagang areas, Mr. Chair.
Well, we're very open, Senator Erwin, to reviewing this item, especially when we conduct the oversight, when we convene the joint congressional oversight. Because the oversight looks at public expenditures, whether nagagastos siya, hindi siya nagagastos, na-utilize siya, at kung may relevance pa yung programa para hindi tayo lagay ng, kagaya sinabi nyo, hindi tayo lagay ng pondo, wala naman nangyayari. So we're very open in looking at that.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
I appreciate the intervention of Senator Tulfo, and after January 2, we can have an oversight hearing along with our counterpart so that the congressmen in the regions can also monitor what's happening in the PAMB. Ang PS pala dyan sa 2.2 is 997, the MOE is 1.1, and the capital outlay is only 107. But the details of, and it's spread throughout all provinces, every region, every penro kasama dyan. Yeah. In every penro office in all the provinces all over the country. So we can't just cut it sweldo ng mga tao at activities nila MOE. But I assure you, we'll have a hearing after January 2 to see. But I'm not the chair of Environment Committee. No, we can hold the hearing as chair of Finance for Environment. It doesn't have to be the Environment Standing Committee. So, tingnan natin isa-isa yan.
Kasi marami ho tayong mga protected areas,
Yes.
Mr. Chair, Senator Loren. But then again, parang hindi naman napaprotektahan. And then, kung sweldo lang po ito, nasaan yung mga tao, di ba? That they're supposed to watch.
No, 1.1 of that, 900 million, yung sweldo, 1.1 yung MOE. And that's spread through all the regions and all the provinces in the country. But I agree with you, as I told you, I don't see a single program of this agency that's doing well. It's frustrating. And I've been defending this agency through 3 administrations. It's very, very frustrating. So we can have that after January 2.
Thank you, Senator
Thank
Loren.
you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Senator Erwin, Senator Lauren. Any more questions or a motion? Appreciate the motion.
Move to approve, Mr. Chair.
Duly seconded, the budget of the Department of Environment and Natural Resources is hereby approved. Go to the Department of Finance.
On the part of the House, for the Department of Finance, under DOF, OSEC, an additional 35,950,000 to support the DOF's mandate under Republic Act number 12022, or the Anti-Agricultural Sabotage Act. Just wanted to manifest, I'm one of the principal authors of the Anti-Agricultural Sabotage Act, so this is the first time that it will be funded. Next would be support operations of the Fiscal Analytics Intelligence Unit or Climate Finance functions, also within the DOF, an increase of 31,733,000. For the Bureau of Customs, for the lease of alternative office space for the BOC Central Office, given the structurally unsafe condition of its current facilities, an amount of 166 million additional. And for the BIR, for the expansion of the fully managed outsourced customer service, or the FMOCS project, which will strengthen taxpayer services and citizen-centered service delivery, an additional 100 million pesos. So in total, on the part of the House, as reflected in the HGAP, the budget for the Department of Finance was increased by 333,683,000.
For, on the part of the Senate, for the Department of Finance, Bureau of Customs, we propose an amount of 4.9 billion pesos, composed of general and management supervision, 1 billion, surveillance and prevention of smuggling, 1 billion, Department of Internal Revenue, 7.2 billion pesos, 17.2 billion pesos, Bureau of Treasury, 4.6 billion pesos, government as composed of wala na. Just Bureau of Treasury, 4.6 billion pesos. Any motion? Questions or motion?
Move to approve, Mr. Chair.
Duly seconded. The budget of the Department of Finance is hereby approved. Now we go to the Department of Foreign Affairs.
On the part of the House, for the Department of Foreign Affairs, in the HGAB reflected the NEP amount, the same as the NEP amount, which is 29,807,959,000. However, there were a lot of realignments within the DFA, given that we were able to see that there's underutilization in terms of the e-passports, the implementation of the e-passport. So we were able to free up fiscal space for the DFA to be able to do realignments internally for them to actually be able to fund their more important priority projects. But in general, we retained their current we retained in the HGAB their NEP level of 29,807,959,000.
For the Department of Foreign Affairs, Office of the Secretary, 28.3 billion pesos, composed of formulation, coordination, supervision of foreign policy, 3.6 billion pesos, directives. Any directives? Conduct of bilateral and multilateral relations in accordance with foreign policy directives, 9.8 billion pesos. Consular, a provision of consular services, including issuance of passports, visas, and other consular documents, 6.8 billion pesos. Any questions or motion?
Move to.
I just, Mr. Chair, want to put on record that it seems, ito lang ba budget ng DFA? Hindi. Kasi I was wondering also, they are not in the same building where they used to be. So I asked, where is the capital outlay? It's actually just not reflected. I just want to, not reflected because it did move, right? But there is capital outlay for their building. Okay, thank you.
Move to approve,
yeah.
Mr. Chair.
Any second?
Second.
Duly seconded. The budget of the Department of Foreign Affairs hereby approved. Department of Human Settlements and Urban Development.
On the part of the House, under the Department of Human Settlements and Urban Development, we proposed in the HGAB to reflect the same amount as in the NEP, which is 3,090,467,000.
For the Senate, we propose, for the Office of the Secretary, we propose 1.3 billion pesos, composed of General Management and Supervision, 498 million pesos, Technical Advisory Services for LGU in Shelter Planning, 77 million pesos, Monitoring of Subdivision and Condominium Projects issued permits and licenses, and Homeowners Association issued registration certificates, 196 million pesos, provision for technical assistance to LGUs in preparation/updating of comprehensive land use plans and zoning ordinances, 191 million pesos, Pambansang Bahay para sa Pilipino for PH program, 35 million pesos. Yep.
Madam Chair.
Mr. Chair.
Madam Chair.
Madam Chair.
May I now recognize Representative Brian Suwan. Brian Yam Suwan.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a manifestation and a suggestion. I think in the next BICAM or in the budget call that will be done by the DSUD, I think that they should focus on the acquisition of land, especially us in Parañaque. We live in an highly urbanized area. Medyo mahal ho ang lupa. And ang condition lagi, yung ating mga kababayan, ang ginagawa nila, ilalagay sila sa Laguna, Cavite, sa mga lugar na malalayo sa amin, pero ang gagawin pa rin, babalik pa rin dun sa lugar kung saan sila tinanggal. And I think the acquisition of land should be a priority also, and you should look into it kasi ganun din ang magiging sistema. And if we acquire land and put them in the place where they, kumbaga yung habitat nila, nandun sila, I think it will be beneficial kasi hindi masasayang yung ginagawa nating mga relocation sa ating mga kababayan na doon na rin lumaki at kumbaga tumanda sa lugar natin. And I have seen this experience to be very much talagang nangyayari. Kumbaga, in reality, yun talagang nangyayari sa atin. Dadalhin natin sila sa malalayong lugar, bibilin yung bahay, kukunin sila doon, and in the end, ang gagawin nila, ibebenta lang yung, ipapatirahin lang kung sino-sino mga kamag-anak nila doon, babalik pa rin sila doon sa kung saan sila nakatira. And magkakaroon pa rin tayo ng problema. Whereas gagawin natin in city na yung relocations natin, it will be beneficial for us, especially those who live in Metro Manila na mga kababayan natin, talagang naging problema siya. So I think we should look into this when we do the budget for next year. Kung makita natin yung mga pabahay programs natin sa ating mga lugar at kung magja-jive naman siya sa budget natin, if we have fiscal space to accommodate, I think it's a honest-to-goodness program that we can look into, especially sa DSUD.
Thank you. We recognize Senator Erwin.
Mr. Chair, ano nangyari dito sa pambansang pabahay para sa Pilipino? Hindi po ba ito ay isa sa mga flagship programs po ng administrasyon? From 700 million, 35 million na lamang. Ibig sabihin, 35 bahay na lang po yata ang mabibili ho nito. Whatever happened to this? I mean, are they junking this? I mean, this program ng pambansang pabahay, Mr. Chair?
Actually, Senator Erwin, pagtapos ng, nagkaroon ho sila ng palit ng administration, no? Nagkaroon sila ng palit ng secretary. So ito ho, nagkaroon ho sila ng pagbago sa programang ito. Reform ni Secretary Aliling yung 4PH program completely. Kaya naapektuhan rin yung implementation. Pero bago rin niya riniporma, may problema na rin sa implementation. Like in 2024, ang utilization rate lang niya is 5%. No? So in 2025, 0%. No? Kaya ho, actually, naalala ko during hearing, siya na rin nagsabi, Sen, tanggalin nyo na ho yung pondo namin dahil meron pa kaming natitirang pondo dahil nga nagreforma ho siya. No? So, hindi naman ho natin tinanggal-transfer ho natin sa NHA. Ang kanilang policy ngayon, ang DSUD will be policy, NHA will be the shelter shelter builder of DSUD. So, ganun nga ngayon ang kanilang division of labor. No? So, based on the utilization rate, napakababa ho talaga. But hindi ho naman ibig sabihin titigil yung pagpapatayo ng bahay. Tuloy-tuloy pa rin po. Tuloy-tuloy pa rin yung kanilang 4PH program. In-expand pa para yung mga lower income makaka-avail po dito sa 4PH program.
Actually, Mr. Chair, listening to what Congressman Yamsuan was saying kanina na kung po pwede dito sa cities, wag na itapon sa kung saan-saan yung mga kababayan natin, yung mga informal settlers. Actually, I have read in one of a survey na meron po tayong oversupply ng condominiums dito po sa Metro Manila. And they keep on rising, so may building subdivisions. Because ang nangyari po dati, na-occupied ng mga taga-Pogo, nagsilayasan na po yung Pogo, wala na pong Pogo. Ang dami pong subdivisions. Dito po sa atin, malapit lang po dito sa Makapagal, 5 complex po dyan na wala na mga tao. I mean, binibenta na lang nga po yung studio type, nasa 3 million na lang pesos, 2.5 million pesos Pero dati, ang benta po ng isang company, I'm not gonna mention the company, nasa 5 million, 6 million. Ngayon, nasa 2.5 million, wala nang bumibili rin, Mr. Chair. Ba't di kaya tignan ho ito ng gobyerno? Siguro, you may be able to suggest them, o suggest it to NHA, baka pwedeng tignan po ito. Tsaka sa Paranaque, ang dami mga condominiums na tinatayo, Mr. Chair.
Correct, Mr. Chair.
Possible ho yan. Itong 4PH program, actually, ang subsidy nila dun sa amortization. No? So, sa interest rate and amortization. So, that's possible na pwede kong i-subsidize yung mga condominiums na hindi naman occupied. No? I think depende lang doon sa price point ng condominium unit. But it's a possible program. No?
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Any...
One more, Sen, with the permission of the body, may I recognize Representative Marcor Zamora.
Yes, Mr. Chair, Madam Chair. Just want to be clarified with Integrated Disaster Shelter Assistance Program, kung ano din po ang dahilan at naging zero siya sa Senate version. Mr. Chair. Yeah.
Go ahead.
I want to be clarified about the Integrated Disaster Shelter Assistance Program. The reason behind deleting the budget under the Senate version, amounting to 412 million.
Yan, thank you for the question, Congressman Maricar. Yung itong Integrated Disaster Shelter Program, tinransfer rin sa NHA upon the request na rin ng agency during the hearing. Because what they're doing right now is they're dividing the responsibility. So ang gusto na lang ng DSUD is policy. No, they create the policy, they create the programs. Ang shelter implementation is NHA. No, even emergency response energy. So that's how they divided it. No?
But the budget is still intact, but under NHA.
And it's under NHA.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair.
All right. Any motion?
Motion to approve, Mr. Chair.
Second.
Duly seconded. The budget of the Department of Human Settlements and Urban Development is hereby approved. Now we go to Department of Information and Communications Technology.
On the part of the House, for the Department of Information and Communications Technology in the HGAB, we reflected an increase of 2,195,457,000 for the DICT. Under the DICT OSEC, an additional 2 billion pesos for the eGov PH app. Under the CICC, expansion of the Cybercrime Response Center, or the CRC, for an additional 60.5 million pesos. For the expansion of the Cybercrime Complaint Center, or the C3, an additional 30.5 million. For the establishment of the Threat Monitoring Center, or the TMC, an additional 24.996 million. For the NTC, funding requirements for the implementation of the Konektadong Pinoy Act, again, a new law that is yet to be funded, an amount of 79,461,000.
On the part of the Senate, for Office of the